The road to MotoGP.
1, 2, 3.
FAB-Racing mini bikes British Championship.
A proven pathway into the world of Grand Prix racing. Hello and welcome to a brand new season of the FAB-Racing British Minibike Championship. You join us at a not-so-sunny Lydd kart circuit down south as we bring you the first of 7 rounds in 2026. Myself, Zach Sweeney, Riley Davis alongside me in the commentary box. Should we go for a walk?
Yeah.
Let's go for a walk. Let's go chat to some riders. Qualifying underway as it stands currently. We've got some of the mini-motors making their way in. Anyone, you want to come for a chat? Yeah, come on, jump straight in. Lovely stuff. First interview of the year. Do you want to tell us who you are and what you're riding?
I'm Daisy and I'm riding the Inters.
How's the the off-season gone ready for 2026? You excited?
Yeah, I just came first in my qualifying.
So what's the plan for the races now? Just lead from pole and go and win?
I'll just get a good start and try win.
Talk to us a little bit about Lydd. Where are the overtaking opportunities? You're starting from pole, so do you reckon you're going to have to defend quite hard today?
Yeah, probably, because there is a couple of my friends who are really fast.
Well, best of luck for the season, and hopefully we'll see you on the top step.
Thank you.
Let's keep moving, shall we? Do you want an interview as well? Yeah, come on. Tell us who you are and what you're riding.
I forgot.
You forgot your name? What's your name?
Randy.
Randy Carter. What are you racing?
Pros.
How are you feeling about the season?
Good.
Talk to us about Lydd. Is it a circuit you enjoy? What are your feelings around it? Is it fast, flowy, good at overtaking around here?
Yeah, the last corner's the best corner to pass because it's easy to get out of the corner and it's really flowing.
What's your favourite circuit on the calendar? What are you most looking forward to?
Clear Pigeon.
So you only got a couple of weeks for that one. Are you going to have you done a lot of prep over the off-season? Are you looking sort of good for this year? What are your aims? Do you want to go and win the championship?
Yeah, I really do.
Awesome. Best of luck for the rest of the season, then we'll catch up with you a little bit later on, I reckon. Let's keep walking as we explore thoughts coming into this season.
I think it's going to be really good. I mean, as you said, it is the pinnacle of bringing riders into the Grand Prix Championships and World Championship in general. Lydd is a great circuit, and I think we're going to have some amazing racing today. So the weather should be all right for now. I think there's no rain, so I think we should be grateful for that. It's a little bit chilly because we're both here in shirts, but I think everybody else should be all right in their leathers, so I think we'll be okay.
It does get quite toasty in the leathers, I can imagine. I think we've got another rider who's well excited for an interview. I can see Jamie King as well, so we'll have to go and grab him. Tell us who you are and what you're racing.
My name's Jude and I'm racing Mini Moto Pros.
Awesome stuff. How are you feeling about the season?
I'm very excited to race. This is my first season.
Oh, is it? Awesome. So what's the feel as a newcomer into the FAB-Racing Paddock? Have you felt sort of welcomed?
Yeah, it's really nice. Also quite nervous coming in.
What are you most looking to gain out of 2026? Is it a season that you're looking to learn from? Are you sort of gunning for the championship? I mean, you've been out on track a couple of times. What are you feeling generally?
I think we want to chase the championship.
Tell us a bit about your history as well. What have you done previously in the world of mini bikes? You're into the pros, so you're up against some pretty decent talent. I mean, what have you done before? And I guess to prove why you should be at the front.
We do a lot of days up at Kingsham, and we go to M4 karting like twice a week, trying to practice for this race.
And do you reckon that experience is going to do you feel well prepared for the season?
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. Well, hopefully we'll catch up with you a little bit later on, and best of luck for the rest of the season. I can see Jamie, so we'll go and chase after him because he's not escaping an interview ever. Right. Has he noticed us there? He's not even noticed us. They're all on their phones. Jamie, I've been looking forward to meeting this guy back again. How's it going?
Yeah, not too bad. How's
it going? I'm good.
Yeah.
So back in front of the camera again, 2026. Yeah. How you feeling?
Pretty good, yeah. Had a really good day yesterday testing. Managed to get straight back into the lap times that we were doing last season, but today's been a bit of a disaster. Qualifying, we crashed first session, so I didn't really get a clean lap in, so we're only 4th on the grid so far. Hopefully we're going to turn it around in the second one, and we've got the new 190 in the new Extreme Senior class, so looking to do well in that as well.
Talking about sort of rivalries in your pit bike class, obviously you've got the usuals, Chris Wells and everyone who tend to be a bit of a thorn in your backside. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago at Lydd, you had a good little battle with Chris and Lucas who were doing quite well. I mean, Any particular names you're looking out for this year?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be Chris and Harrison. Harrison obviously won the championship last year, really good young rider. I'm hoping that he goes on to bigger and better things, not to leave the pit bikes, but I think he just deserves to. But yeah, me, Chris, Harrison, you'll see people like Simon Gates as well be up the sharp end as well. So yeah, me and Chris had some really good battles here last year, so maybe, hopefully again for the race today.
Looking forward to it. As well as sort of, I've been looking, you've been quite busy in the world of social media and around everywhere. Tell us a bit about that. What you've been up to?
So yeah, just I'm racing in 3 different championships this year. So we're racing in the Free Tech Endurance Championship. I'm racing in Bempsey on a 300 Ninja, and obviously the pit bikes here. So it's absolutely flat out, and yeah, just vlogging everything for the YouTube channel.
What are the difficulties, I guess, going from a Ninja back onto this? I mean, the adjustments, do you take a little bit of a while to adapt?
It's quite new for me, the Ninja, so I'm still kind of getting my head around that a bit. Obviously a big, heavier bike, even though it is, in big bike racing terms, it is a small bike. But yeah, it's just, obviously you can flick these about a lot more. Go-kart tracks are totally different to the big tracks. So yeah, I'm getting my head around the Ninja, but I feel I can get back on the pit bike and just get back to the front straight away.
You'd hope so, because you're meant to be quite good on these things, aren't you?
Yeah, I know.
Lydd is a little bit of a challenging circuit, a tough one to start the year. Any specific challenges that Lydd faces against the rest of the calendar?
It's all about corner speed here. There's no slow corners at Lydd. It's not like Rara with the hairpins or Ella Park. It is like just all fast corner. I kind of compare it to Mugello for the MotoGP track. It's so fast and flowing. So yeah, you just got to keep your corner speed up.
Awesome stuff. Best of luck for the weekend. We'll catch up with you a bit later on. And hopefully no shenanigans at Clay Pigeon in 2 weeks either. Absolutely not. Let's keep walking. Yeah, disastrous times last season. Riley, go on. You have a turn.
Well, first of all, I just wanted to say, you know, what an honour it is to be here at FAB-Racing and commentating, and obviously doing this pit walk with you in this brilliant championship at Lydd Circuit. Also, just wanted to point out we got an interview with Brad Ray coming your way in a few days' time, and another special announcement, a really big announcement for mini bike racing coming in a few days. That is going to be huge, so make sure you follow all the FAB-Racing socials and keep your eyes and ears peeled. It is going to be fantastic. But yeah, we're going to have a look around now, see if we can find anyone else wanting an interview. And just one thing I was wondering is that what people thought of the track, depending on what bike they have. What are the different lines between, let's say, the 40s, and you go all the way onto the pit bikes? And that's what I was experimenting with. It's those different lines, and that's exactly what I want to ask people today. Well, depending on if they're willing to give us the time or not. So I'm going to try and find someone here who's willing to... Yeah, let's have a look. Yeah. Anyone up for an interview? A quick brief chat? Yeah. Hiya there, Mason. You up for a brief chat? Yeah, it's coming this way. All right then, Mason. One of the top boys out there at the moment. How's the first few sessions been for you this weekend, and how are you feeling going into the races? Yeah,
I've been feeling good. Just doing a little weekend on the Tommy Keats' 70, and I won't be here for the Sunday because I've got the medical from 05 in Spain. But these sessions have been feeling good, been getting quicker every session, and yeah, I'm doing good.
Yeah, you're definitely doing well for sure, and it's a shame we'll miss you tomorrow. I'm sure you'll deliver us some good action out of there on track today. But I also wanted to ask you what your favourite circuit is. Is it Lydd, or is there another one on the calendar that really gets your attention?
Well, I'd say last year I really liked the circuit that we did at Three Sisters. I can't remember if it was the last round or the second to last. It was the one you didn't go up the hill. You went through the little tight twisty section that the minis do. That one was quite fun. Yeah, it's probably my favourite.
Yeah, Three Sisters seems to be one of the top picks for most riders across the paddock. And one final thing I wanted to ask is Lydd an enjoyable track? I mean, I imagine it is. Just riding motorbikes on a circuit. Of course it's enjoyable, but would you rank it as maybe a top 3?
Yeah, definitely top 3. It's a really nice track. I like the chicanes and the long sweeping left. When you go up that hill and you top that one, it's so nice. Yeah, it's a nice track.
Well, I'm sure we'll miss you tomorrow, but yeah, make sure you give it all out there and today, and yeah, good luck for the rest of the day.
Thank you.
Yeah. Cheers. All right, then, that was Mason Fedrick, and I think we're going to have a word right now. First of all, sorry, I'm a bit new here, but what's your name and what class are you racing?
My name's Tommy Keith, and I ride in the Extreme 200.
So apologies, I didn't really catch that, but I'm going to start with the questions. First of all, do you enjoy the Lydd circuit? And as I asked Mason there, is it one of your top 3 tracks, or is there some more that really catch your eye?
I think Lydd's a really good track. Yeah, it's one of my favourites. Yeah.
And there's not much more to it. It's fast and flowy. I'll say it's quite hard to overtake, but have you been finding it quite easy today, or are you finding some similar issues?
Hopefully down into the last corner, there'll hopefully be a few moves, but maybe down into the long right. But yeah, I think they're key overtaking places.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, they're a bit of a dive bomb city because it's quite one line around here. And are you enjoying it so far and ready for this season?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Yeah, hopefully I'll pick up a few podiums and possibly a win. But yeah, we'll just see how it goes.
Yeah, of course. And I've got good luck to you in your journey, and we're following you across the weekend. And hopefully you do get those podiums and more. All right then. My apologies, I didn't really hear what his name was there because of the bikes going past. But yeah, the track action is going to be all over the place for today. 11 races coming to you, and me and Zach are going to be bringing them live to you. And yeah, I think it might be your turn again.
Let's go back to it. Let's keep going for a walk, shall we? I mean, it's a long paddock. Let's see if we can chat to... Obviously, we spoke to Jamie King. He is getting a bit on. But we'll chat to some more of the older guys as well, because obviously we've got a plethora of talent. Obviously, it's a pathway to Grand Prix racing here at FAB-Racing. A lot of graduates, of course, Brad Ray being one of them. We mentioned the interview that we'll be having with him sort of in the future. Keep your eyes peeled for that one. But it's a proven pathway into Grand Prix racing, but also for anyone to come down and have a laugh. We've got plenty of people who are, well into their racing career here at FAB-Racing. So it really is for everyone, so make sure you are getting yourself down. Can see a couple of people working on the bike, so I reckon we'll jump in and see if we can have a chat with some of the guys. Do you go and have a quick chat? I can see you working away some tyre warmers and things. Sort of tell us who you're working with and sort of, I guess, what's going on here.
So I'm Daisy Grayson's dad. So I'm just putting the warmers on, ready for the next session. We're going to put some new tyres in. She's sat on pole at the minute, so we want to try and get another little bit and get her away.
What does your weekend look like, obviously supporting your daughter and everything? Obviously she's doing a fantastic job out on circuit. What does the weekend look like from your side?
It's different now. So I'd raced 25 years, so I've always had one spanner for me, and then now jumping the other sides. It's good. I enjoy it. I got a new engine last night. We had a new clutch for Friday, so I've spent a lot of late nights under the candlelight fixing the bike. So yeah, it's good.
And sort of coming into the season, you mentioned sort of late nights. Is there a lot of preparation that needs to go into things, or is it a case of leave the bike in the shed, bring it back to the paddock and get it going?
Yeah. I mean, these mini motos are absolute basket cases. They're always breaking, and your hands are always... If you've not got black hands, you're not a mini moto dad. So, yeah, I can't wait for it to get on the big bikes where they're not as messy.
How long's that away?
She started riding the 110 Ovale at the British Mini Bike Championship. So that was her first weekend last weekend. So I say this is her last year on mini motos.
Well, best of luck to her. She's on pole. She must be doing something, right?
Yeah, she's doing all right. Yeah, must take after her dad.
Something like that, I guess. Cheers. We'll see you later. Daisy Greason's dad, of course, doing a fantastic job. Provisionally on pole position, he said, which is good. And nice to talk a little bit about sort of the preparation that goes into the weekend, because it's all well and good looking at as we try not to get run over by a van here. It's all well and good sort of looking at the riders themselves out on circuit, but also sort of, the preparation that goes in beforehand. The dads and mums on the spanners and everything like that. The team members, they do a lot of the hard graft.
Yeah, it all starts with the passion to race, and that's what everyone's here for at FAB-Racing. It's the joy of being on a motorbike, or it's the joy of watching your kids enjoy being on a motorbike. For me, I started quite young riding motorbikes, and that's all it is. It has to start with a parent who's willing to put the effort and time in, and money and hard-working hours to either get yourself on track or your kid, and that's what FAB-Racing does. As you said earlier, bringing the absolute top performance talent to go through to the Grand Prix classes, and I find that so interesting, and that's why you can't miss what we've got coming for you this weekend and for the rest of the season. I believe it.
Yeah, so we're just looking for a couple of people. This back end of the paddock seems to be a little bit more bare, to be honest. I'm just trying to keep a lookout. Can see Claudia Dudman's team awning, but they're not around at the moment. We're heading towards the back end of the paddock now, so hopefully there'll be a couple of people. I want to chat to some of the Moto team guys, because obviously they've already concluded their qualifying, and a couple of changes coming into that for this season. They get an extra race as well added onto things. Let's see if we can poke our head in here and see if anyone wants to chat. Do you want to come for a chat? How's it going? Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. So, sort of tell us who you are and what you're racing this weekend.
Tom Atkinson, and I'm racing the Pit Bike 140.
So you're going against Jamie King. We've already had a chat with him. How are you feeling coming into the year?
I'm a rookie, so I'll be nowhere near him.
Is that sort of the aim then, I guess, for the season? Obviously coming in, learning the ropes and sort of seeing how you progress through the year. We've got 7 rounds coming up, so do you reckon that the aim is to be just chipping away at that gap?
Yeah, definitely. Just improve every session and see where we end up at the end of the year.
So you're a rookie in the pit bikes this year. Have you done any motorbike racing before?
I've not, no.
So a complete fresh rookie, right.
I've ridden road bikes and stuff, but that's about it. Never raced.
So I guess, we're a couple of sessions in. We've not raced yet this weekend. I mean, what are the lessons you've already taken so far this weekend?
Just learning the tracks, learning body position, certain stuff like that, how the bike works. Still learning, so we'll see how she gets on.
And sort of the preparation side of things as well. I mean, have you done any more of the mechanical side of things, or are you completely new to that as well and learning as you go?
Completely new, learn as we go. Just give it a all. Yeah.
Awesome stuff. Well, best of luck to you. Thanks for taking the time to chat to us, and hopefully we'll see you progress as the season sort of goes on. Quite a dense part of the paddock now. We're getting into the rough of it down here, aren't we? We'll hopefully have a chat with a couple more people before we sort of start wandering the other way. See if any of these guys want to have a quick chat. Come on. I think we've got some of the O'Keeffes down here. How's it going, guys?
Yeah, all good so far. Bit slower than what we want to be, but yeah, going well.
Going well, of course, family affair for you guys, isn't it? So that rivalry still sparking for 2026?
Very much still sparking. Here's our new member. This is Billy O'Keeffe. He's my son.
Another one?
Yeah, he's here to race for the first time. He's doing well.
How's it going for you then? It's a new environment for you. How you bedding in?
Yeah, it's totally new to me. It's good fun, making a bit of progress, getting used to it.
Are they teaching you well, or are they just throwing you under the bus all the time?
No, I'm getting lots of good advice. Yeah.
That's good stuff. You are nice sometimes, you guys, aren't you, I suppose? Yeah, that's good stuff. Any challenges specific to Lydd that you're sort of, learning the ropes with? We've spoken to a lot of people, quite fast, quite flowing.
Yeah, I'm getting used to most of the track. It's a nice track. The S-bends are giving me some trouble there. They're a challenge, for sure.
And sort of pace-wise, how are you looking?
Pretty slow. It is my first time. I'm on 58 seconds, roughly, at the moment, so looking to hopefully improve a little bit.
Main aim is just going to be trying to stay with these guys as long as you can, and then chip away at it as the season goes on. Well, best of luck to you three. Hopefully we'll chat with you as the rounds go on. We'll keep walking a little bit, Riley. I mean, obviously the O'Keeffes, they're renowned in this paddock. They know what they're doing, and another new member to add to the already quite extensive rostrum. Got a few bikes coming around here. Hopefully a couple more people to sort of chat to. But yeah, it seems that a lot of people overall, the overall paddock feel is quite positive.
Yeah, everybody's just happy to be back racing, and of course it's just such a good feeling, isn't it? And one thing I did want to point out is how it's going to be so good this first round, because half the field in every single class is going to be wanting to do the absolute utmost just to enjoy the first round of the season and get back up to speed, whereas the other half might just want to build into it. As we've heard a lot of people say, they just want to go that little bit more every time and just keep building as the season goes on. And I think that'll create a lot of action, because you'll see some people a bit higher than they usually would be, because they'll be nice and motivated. They would have been very bored during the winter time, and they'll be coming back soon, and they knew it. They were desperate to come back, and here they are, back ready for racing at Lydd Circuit. So, as I said before, it's going to be so good, and big battles between many people. And I believe we're going to be going to look for some more people to get a quick chat. We've, as you said, had one qualifying session so far, so people just getting some last preparations in before heading out. And of course, not long now until we get on the grid racing. See if anyone is down here looking for a word. Not quite sure. We can't see many people around, so we're just going to have to keep travelling up down the paddock. And yeah, another reminder just to keep your eyes on the socials. Make sure you follow them. You'll get all the updates on the championship from here at Lydd Circuit, and of course from now on into the season. We've got some riders there that are getting ready for their next session. Probably qualifying, I think, is up next, so we're not going to disturb them. Let them get in the zone. I think we might have a chat with this young lad here if he's up for it. Might just be about to go out, so we'll see. Good again. Look, ready for another chat? I believe we spoke yesterday, and you were saying you're having a lot of fun out there. So a bit more sessions out there today or yesterday afternoon, and improving the feeling?
Yeah, a lot. The bike feels very fast, and I'm hoping to win the race.
I mean, strong ambitions for a strong contender, and I'm sure you'll just keep building as you keep going. Race 1, you looking forward to it?
Yeah, a lot. I'm excited for the start.
And one thing I wanted to ask, because I've been asking most of the riders I've been interviewing so far, is what is your favourite spot for overtaking? I mean, you might not want to give it away because you don't want to tell your competitors, but would you be able to let us in and sort of tell us where your favourite place to send one down the inside is?
Yeah, like on the top corner, trying to go up the inside, like doing that.
Yeah, I mean, the hairpin is a good way to go, a nice little dive bomb just to upset the competition and maintain the lead. Well, good luck to you, and hopefully we'll see you up at the front, as I imagine you will. Brilliant confidence from you, and I'm sure that'll carry you all the way.
Thank you.
A very confident young man there. Spoke to him yesterday, and he was just as confident, and I'm sure he will be at the front as he promised. So I'm going to pass back to Zach now, who may be able to get a few more words in.
Yeah, it's always good sort of talking to the riders. A lot of them so impressively well-spoken in front of the camera. We just saw there the parents completely sprinting out of the way as soon as they possibly could. But the riders so mature, and again, at such a young age, it's really good to see. I mean, you look at the likes of Sullivan Moundsey, of course, who's risen through the ranks now in Red Bull Rookies, and, really impressing. One of those that really always shines through on the interview, and it is always, a nice thing to see that they've got that intelligence and that maturity to showcase themselves. We're wandering back through the talent, back through the paddock, looking at all of the talent that we've got on offer. An array of bikes, obviously, all the way from Mini Moto all the way into the Mini GP bikes, and some very impressive riders as we go through. Again, if it is your first time here at FAB-Racing, again, this is the place to be, to nurture yourself, to get onto that pathway into the Moto 4 British Cup, into Red Bull Rookies, into Moto Junior, and then, of course, that road in towards the World Championship stage, as we, again, desperately try not to get run over by the very busy paddock that we've got, a very bustling paddock. Let's see if we can poke our heads into a couple more warnings. We've got a couple of guys in here hard at work. Anyone want a quick chat? He's all right. Busy at work. Should we go poke our head in? They're going to go see if they can go get him. I think we've got Sebastian Gazlowski, who's coming in. He's a remarkably quick driver, reigning 50 and 50R championship winner, of course, is Super Seb. He's wandering his way over. Let's have a quick chat with him. Of course, a big contender coming into 2026. Seb, how's it going? Off the back of quite a successful 2025, so looking to do the same in 26?
Yeah, this race round, we were just sorting out the bikes, ready for the next round.
And sort of, obviously, here at Lydd and the rest of the season, any rounds in particular looking forward to?
Lydd is one of my favourite tracks, but also Landown.
So a bit further on in the season, and quite a trek actually from Kent all the way to sort of South Wales. And sort of in terms of championship aspirations, obviously off the back of 2025, where you did quite well, I think you'll admit, are you looking to again do the same in this year, or is this a year of learning and getting used to a new bike?
Hopefully I do the same, and we'll just work and push as hard as we can.
You said obviously you're getting the bike ready for this round. I mean, how's the pace looking relative to everyone else? You've had the practice sessions and qualifying coming up, so how is it looking?
It's okay, just trying to get that P1 on the grid.
Best of luck for you there. I mean, we've spoken to a couple of people. Quite fast, quite flowing. Does that mean it's quite difficult to overtake around here?
There's some overtaking spots, but it's more of a flying track.
You reckon you can get the start you need off the line then?
Hopefully.
Well, best of luck to you, Super Seb. We'll catch up with you a little bit later on. Best of luck for the rest of the weekend, and of course the championship beyond that. Super Seb, remarkable talent, and again one of those that have come through basically from being 8 or 9 years old now, of course, into being a teenager and rising through the ranks. And that's exactly what we sort of like to see. I mean, we've spoken to a couple of rookies. It's their first weekend in Fab, and the general message has been that they've felt quite welcome this weekend. But also, of course, those sort of seasoned veterans, if you like, that have come through all the way through the ranks, progressing from AC40 rookies all the way up to the Mini GP 70s, and that's really the pathway that Fab Racing provides, isn't it?
In the end, it's all a pathway, and it is the pathway into the World Championship. At first, when you hear Brad Ray say about it, he'll say that he, in fact, at first it was just coming to enjoy riding a motorbike, and that's what all these kids are here to do. And then when you start getting to the top class, like the GP70 class, that is where things get intense, and it's where you think, hang on a minute, I can be a real professional motorcycle racer here. And then the mindset starts to kick in, the domination starts to come out. As we saw Harrison last year, he was an absolute machine, and as he's proving just now, he's an absolute machine still in his adventures in the Moto 4 British Cup. So it's just so good to see everybody back for round one. And just as we saw there with that interview, he was just a little bit nervous. Might have just been his first interview in a while, of course, so we won't judge, but that backs up my claim earlier about how some will just be coming into this first round looking to take it a little bit carefully and just build into the season, and of course some, like before, being lovely and confident and ready to go, and they'll be out the gates wild.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up the opening Paddock show of the 2026 season. A big, once again, welcome back to Fab Racing in 2026. We've gone up, we've gone down the paddock, and now it's time for some racing. We are just moments away from kickstarting the 2026 Mastermac Fab Racing British Mini Bike Championship, of course, here at the fantastic Lydd Cup circuit. Before we jump into the 2026 season, though, let's reminisce a little bit and check out some highlights from 25.
So just a reminder of the start procedure for you here at Fab Racing. It has been a long time. We need to dust off those cobwebs in your brain. It is lights out. We are underway in 2025. Great launch away there from Tommy Williams on the 61 bike. He will inherit the lead. Maxwell Keats trying to regain his lead. Can't quite find the way through Tommy Williams.
Absolute domination in the first place from him. He's about to take that checkered flag. Here he is. He takes it and takes home first place for the LC40 Elite.
It is lights out. We are underway, and once again, as we expected, it is a rocket start from Nelly Nuth. The 44 times the launch perfectly, but as long as Nuth can stay on two wheels, she's essentially got this one in the bag, unless Finley Styles can pull something right out of the top drawer. Styles is really pushing, he's really closed up now, but it may be too little, too late for Finley Styles, as we head round the final corner. Welcome back to 2025. Nelly Nuth takes the opening round of the season in style. Nelly Nuth makes it 2 from 2 and wins race number 2 in the opening round of the season in the Brits and AC40 Inters. And what a ride from the 44 once again.
It's going to be an amazing victory for here at the first race in Lydd. And here we go. Harrison Day takes the checkered flag, taking first place at this first race in Lydd. That will be an amazing moment for him. But let's see who is going to take that second position. And it is Taylor Tomlinson with Travis Shaw coming in third. What a brilliant race that was.
It is Harrison Day who dominates here at Lydd and will be going home a very happy boy, because all eyes are on him today. He has been absolutely remarkable. Fab Racing.
It is lights out and away we go. Richard Holmes-Williams holding on to that first place. Here is Jamie King, though, hot on his tail in second.
Fab Racing.
Very close battle between these guys here. They are tight as anything. Who is going to take it? Chris Wells looks to the inside and he does well.
But he wants to to come here. He wants that redemption. He comes in week on week in order to sort of hone his craft and get some experience. He's been over in Aston recently as well, racing bikes. He does test riding for Stetson. He's a very experienced rider, very, very good rider. All he needs is to taste that sweet, sweet taste of home victory.
Very close battle between these guys here. They are tight as anything. Who is going to take it? Chris Wells looks to the inside, and he does. Will Chris Wells takes that move and gets past Cotgrove.
Oh, this is fierce, fierce racing. The pit bike guys making no friends out there on the track. Is to the inside and on the grass, maybe. Man, oh man, Joshua French. Go racing in Moto Team race number 1. Oh, and Marco Pandolfo doesn't go anywhere. Or was that a jump start, maybe? All possible. Jacques Van Eden is somehow leading into turn 1, up into the lead. Chaos away at the start. It's Van Eden from French, from Marco Pandolfo, your top 3. And Joshua French is going to put on the attack as they start the penultimate lap of the race. Marco Pandolfo holding firm down into turn 1. Look at the momentum on the 116. He nearly high sides out of turn 1. Jack Van Eden doing a fantastic job to hold off those behind, but here comes up the inside. Oh, and he's gone down. David too much on the front of it bit, and down he goes. Joshua French has gone down and out of the race on the very final lap. It will be Marco Pandolfo who takes victory in race number 2 of the Moto Team. It's going to be redemption for Ben O'Keefe a year after he crashed out of the lead on the final corner. This time, Ben O'Keefe takes a standard class win. Oh. To the lights, Kozlowski on pole, Fedric alongside. It is lights out and we're underway. Good start by both of the front runners there, but it will be Fedric with the inside into turn 1, and who does inherit the lead of the race. And this time Thomas to the inside. Oh, super close between them. That is brave, brave stuff. Still not done though. Curtis back to the inside, up and under maybe for Thomas. Somehow, Bradley Curtis holds on to P3. Man, oh man, racing at its brilliant best between the pair of them. Sheer focus, sheer commitment, sheer willpower from that young man who has been phenomenal so far this season, and gets into round 2, continues it with a bang. Sebastian Kozlowski dominates the opening race of the Mini GP 50R class. Time for the big boys on the little bikes. Time for a race that many see is the highlight of the weekend. It is the Senior Mini Motos. Matt Birkin looming large in the rear view, of course, of the 100 of Reece Gentry. Up the inside and takes the lead of the race, but the up and under there, the 100 machine back on the switchback and back into the lead. Both of them running a little bit of curve. Gentry to the inside of the sweepers. Oh, that's brilliant from Reece Gentry, and gets it confirmed as well. Any fight back from Birkin? Not on this occasion. Maybe that's the best thing. Last lap board show and defensive ever so slightly, but he's left the door open. Matt Birkin straight back to the inside of turn 1. Reece Gentry tries to get the switch back, but Birkin cleverly covers it off. Now look for David Meyer. Around the outside goes Reece Gentry, trying to go the long way of turn number 2. Could be a drag race to the line. Who's it going to be? It will be Reece Gentry, who takes victory by less than a tenth of a second at the timing being 72 thousandths of a second there. Fist bumps between the top 2. This is FAB-Racing.
Lights out and away we go, racing for the AC40 rookies here at Houghton Park. Brilliant performance we are seeing from the number 76 of Zach Atterstich in this race. Look at that, neck and neck. Austin Baton, the number 100 on that Spider-Man livery, just coming round the final corner now, and he's going to do it, cross that finish line. Austin Baton, the number 100, takes first place. Lights out and away we go. This race has started for the Mini GP 70. But there is our race leader, Harrison Day. The 47 of Matthew Thomas ahead of the number 4, Travis Shaw, battling it out. 4-second position. Matthew Thomas ran a little bit wide then, which gave the number 4 of Travis Shaw the ability to get past and take that second position. The 77 moving out then, around on the inside, through on the number 7 of Logan Cousins. Second lap of racing for these guys in the Mini GP 70. Coming round that last corner now, he's gonna do it once again. Harrison Day on the number 15, showing his absolute domination in the Mini GP 70 class.
Lights out and away we go. The number 18 of Finley Styles gets a very good start. Nelly New dropping down to third there. A very good start there. I believe that was Reed Saxelby.
Nelly News still hunting down Reed Saxelby with 5 laps left to go. It has been a tight battle between these guys all race so far, and it is absolutely brilliant performance we are seeing from them. They are both trying different lines. Finley Styles, the number 19, our race leader, coming round now to finish, and it is Finley Styles who takes that win.
An absolutely sensational performance from Nelly New there. With that 3-second jump start penalty, she will win the second round of the AC Interclass. What a sensational performance from her. All visors to the flag, and the flag is dropped, and it's going to be a start to race 2 of the PB140s.
Harrison Quincy is still leading on that 7.55, coming into the chicane, and now absolutely brilliant stuff we are seeing from him, leading Jamie King and Chris Wells, our leaders in the championship at the moment. But it is going to be Harrison Quincy coming round now on the start-finish straight, and it is Harrison Quincy takes his first win in the Pit Bike 140s and his first podium in the Pit Bike 140s. Richard Owens-Williams looking to make a look on the end, but can't quite do it. Harrison Quincy leading into the final corner on the start-finish straight. Who is going to win this final race? It's the 7.55 of Harrison Quincy who takes the win in the third and final race of the Pit Bike 140 here at Hooton Park. And it is lights on and lights out, and away we go racing here. Sebastian Gazlowski, fabulous start from him. Caelan Ratcliffe go on that 96, fastest lap of a 39.955. He's getting himself involved in these battles there. He has Tommy Keats in his sights, and he's like, I can taste the podium here, I want to have a go.
Sebastian Gazlowski, who has been dominant this weekend, late in the day gets a bit of assistance from the traffic and could cruise on home out of the final corner. It's another win for Sebastian Gazlowski, who just seems unstoppable at the moment. The 64 takes the checkered flag.
An absolutely brilliant start from Rhys Gentry there. He was straight on the throttle when that red light went out. Matt Birkin straight on his throttle. You can see, I love it with these guys. You can really see how tight and pulled in they get with their bike when they get on those straights to try and gain some speed up and make moves on the other riders. But there is our race leader, Rhys Gentry, being pressured by Matt Birkin, who is closely followed by Keaton Payne. Coming round now onto that start-finish straight, and there he is, Matt Birkin, our race winner. Absolutely brilliant performance from him there with Keaton Payne.
It's the fast-starting, the fast-charging Rhys Gentry who leads the way, but it could all be changed behind him. Matt Birkin with a big move round the outside of turn 1. That is special. That's why he's your reigning champion. That's why he's the championship leader. Matt Birkin with something sent from above.
Here we go, look at that. Rhys Gentry was looking to make a move there on Keaton Payne, but couldn't, and he's done it. Rhys Gentry, oh gee, Josh Birkin looking to get involved now, and he does it. Josh Birkin has just slid his way through past those two.
Well, around it better, that's a huge one. Wow, and that's Keaton Payne from the lead of the race, who's gone tumbling down the front straight. The handlebars are bent, the chain is off.
The Birkins of Buxton, they're coming around now into just the final few corners in the last section of the track. Back traffic there though, back markers, could that be a little issue? Not really. Josh Birkin and Matt have both just flown past those, but Josh Birkin now in the lead. Who is going to beat Matt Birkin, looking to make a move on this last final little straight section? But it is Josh Birkin who takes the win in the third and final race of the senior mini motos. Matt Birkin, his brother, just ever so close behind in second position.
start Sunday's action. Possible little jump start there from Jensen Cedras. Looks like he got away really strong as they head down into turn 1. It will be Cedras that leads from pole position. Maxwell keeps in P2. Change behind him though. Looks like Reed Saxelby may have just been overtaken by Joey Akasic for P2 in the Procast. That's very deep from both Cedras and Keats. They head up to Iredale's hairpin for the first time.
But Maxwell Keats right on the back of him. He looks like he might jump to the inside, but no such luck on this occasion. Jensen Cedras keeps the lead. He's right on the back of Maxwell Keats. They go side by side almost, and the 24 holds the lead. Coming through St. John's Bend now, only a couple of corners to go. Jensen Cedras needs to get a good exit out of here, and potentially a switchback. He's going on the inside in the final corner. Oh, it just hasn't worked out. But can he get the run to the line? He might let Tunnel off. Oh, it's a dead heat. 6,000 over the line. Maxwell Keats wins from Jensen Cedras. We're getting ready to go racing. The lights are out, and let's see, is it Marco Pandolfo and the 1, 2, 3 who takes the lead away from Sam Clowes? A brilliant move there. That's what he needed to do yesterday, but Sam Clowes has been on another level this weekend. Let's see what he can do. Whether he's down. He's down. That's Sam Clowes down at turn 2. He wants the Moto team standard win, and I'll tell you what, he's getting very, very close actually on the back of. Oh, and then they touch, and that was so close there. My word, the 65 is right on the back, goes to the outside, side by side. Wow, and he set up the move nice and late there, and a brilliant move there for this 65. A great battle between Lindsay Dignola and Harrison O'Keefe. It'll be around the corner, and it'll be yet another win this season for Marco Pandolfo of Team FAB-Racing, who wins race 2 of the Moto team.
The AC40 enters race 1 of the final round. Is go. Great start there from Nelly Nuth from pole.
Nelly Nuth, though, she seems to be back this weekend and back with a bang. She's had that pole position from qualifying. She got that good start to the race. This is the Nelly we know and love.
Finley Styles still hot on her heels though as they come around Luna Bend to make it one more lap to go. Can Styles get by and give himself the biggest advantage in the championship? Can Nuth bring the gap down ever so slightly?
She's going to be taking her first race win in quite some time for this season, and that is the checkered flag, and it is Nelly Nuth who takes the first race win of this weekend for the AC40 Inters.
It's all wide open in the Mini GP70s, and it is go.
Absolutely brilliant start for Logan Cousins there to get up into P3 from beginning in P4.
The front two breaking away. Logan Cousins is keeping them in check. Not too far behind though. A mistake or a collision from both of them. He could very well be quitted as they make their way through Paddock Bend.
Over again, is that someone going? That is Matthew Thomas looking to go down on the inside of Taylor Tomlinson, and he's done it. That was very, very fierce racing there. That was a close move there.
Matthew Thomas, where have you been, sunshine? Welcome back to P1.
Frankie Watson on the number 14 around Luna Bend, coming into the final corner next, and he is going to cross the finish line. There it is, checkered flag, and it is Frankie Watson, the number 14, takes the first race win of the weekend for the Mini GP70s.
Many back British championships.
On the road to MotoGP and the feeder series to the British Talent Cup and Red Bull Rookies, this is FAB-Racing Mini Bikes British Championship.
It's time to get 2026 underway in the Mastermac FAB-Racing British Mini Bike Championship. Of course, very much looking forward to getting this one underway. 2025, as we just saw, was filled with, well, thrills and spills along the way. It's myself, Zach Swinney, Riley Davis alongside me in the commentary box to bring you all of the racing action over the course of the 7 rounds that we've got in 2026. Now, the weather's not playing ball, but hopefully the racing will.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're expecting some brilliant racing to start off the season, and of course, as you said, the weather not really giving us a really good weather, but at least it's not rain. Let's be glad for that. Let's all have some fun out there on a dry, sunny day. Well, let's get racing. Only a few moments to go here at Lydd, and these riders will get out on track. As Zach said, I am Riley Davis, and we will be bringing you commentary for this season. I can't wait for this one. First up, we've got the AC40s coming at you.
Indeed, so we'll be kickstarting the day with the Moto team, guys. Of course, standard and open. The AC40 rookies will be coming after that. Then, of course, we'll have all of the mini Moto classes, the Inters, the Pros, and the Seniors, which, for those that haven't followed Fab before, are some pretty large blokes on some pretty small bikes, which is always a bit of fun. And, of course, the rookies, the Inters, the Pros, they're some of the riders that are on their very first step on the pathway that Fab Racing offers.
Yeah, the pathway is exactly what FAB-Racing is. It is all about getting to the World Championship, and then you come through FAB-Racing, you jump into the now Moto 4 British Cup, and you go through there. We've seen lots of people roll into the Moto 4 British Cup through FAB-Racing. Harrison Day, the reigning GP70 champion, and we're just waiting now for the final quali of the day to get done. But yeah, thanks for joining us. Make sure you're subscribed and followed on all the socials for FAB-Racing. We're just, of course, as I mentioned before, waiting for this to get underway. But yeah, Zach, first of all, as you said, Moto team coming up. You reckon it's going to be an entertaining one?
It should be. We caught up with some of the O'Keeffes, who, of course, are the family affair that they've got going on in Moto team, and a very exciting championship in that respect. You can see these are the Extreme 200s. They're making their way out very shortly to complete their qualifying, to set the grids for the 3 races that they've got this weekend. Now, contrary to most of the classes, Moto team have 4 of their races so far this weekend, because, of course, the whole point of it is that it's the most budget-friendly form of racing that you can get pretty much in the UK. Very sort of wide range of bikes that you can put into the class. You can then share the bike with sort of with other riders. You can get your mates involved. You can divvy it up so you can share it 2 races per rider per weekend, and that's something that's actually being run in the Moto team class. It's an arrive and ride format where you can come in for a round or 2, you can hire the bike, you can rent the bike, and get yourself racing for a very cost-effective way of doing it. So that's something that's quite interesting about Moto team. Again, it's not necessarily the rider that scores points, but it's the bike that does that as well. So you can chop and change throughout the season, which is always quite exciting.
Yeah, of course, and as you said before, it makes it more of a team effort. It's more of a friendly thing than thinking about these rivals that you got to go out. I mean, if you look at the other classes, some cases you'll have family members, brothers that will be going out against each other, or sisters, and of course in this team championship you're all together fighting together, and it's all cheap, so you can get out there yourself and grab your mates, grab your family even, and just go for it. And this is FAB-Racing, that's how it works here. We've got all things, as I said before, the ladder and cheap racing. Oh yeah, we got world champions watching, Jack Hammer, and shout out to him. And as I'm sure many famous people watching along to catch the FAB-Racing. Round 1 begins today at Lydd Circuit. It's going to be a brilliant way to start the season. And Zach, what are you looking forward to kick off the season then?
Bikes on track really is the first thing, but just good racing generally. I mean, I first came into Fab in 2024. Me and Ross took that season. I managed to do a round last year at Ella Park as well, so I love coming back to the FAB-Racing paddock. The paddock itself, the atmosphere is fantastic, and the racing on track is brilliant as well. This is the final qualifying session of the day. This is Extreme 200s. These guys taking their way to the circuit. It was Harrison Day that won the championship last year from Taylor Tomlinson and Travis Shaw. Wilson Dilks, Logan Cousins, the top 5 in the 2025 season of the Extreme 200s. Now coming into 2026, slightly different format. We've now technically got 2 Extreme 200 classes. We've got the juniors and the seniors to sort of give the slightly older guys, more of a fighting chance, something to fight for in the extreme class, because a lot of the juniors jump in, they jump in on their Rally or their Metro kit to get that extra track time, to get extra racing time, and of course for the slightly older guys, they almost, I don't want to say they have no chance in the championship, but fighting the juniors becomes a little bit harder. So a nice sort of fork in the road, I guess, if you will, to sort of give the juniors and the seniors something to fight for over the season.
Yeah, and to put it simply, it's just more bikes on track for everyone to enjoy, and whether it be the riders, the viewers, or us as the commentators, it's more racing to watch, more bikes on track, more riders enjoying bigger battles. And also with the younger and older riders being on track together, the younger riders sort of get an idea of seeing the experience and seeing the older riders invent the overtakes, and they can sort of copy off that, and then the older riders can get motivated by these younger riders who'll be fast and they'll be aggressive and they'll be asking a lot of their bike and just really getting out there and getting motivated to go, where, as you know, as I said before, the older riders, they're just going to be getting right psyched up to be fighting the younger guys.
Just off the road there, you can see Bojan Blaževski, who's had a bit of an off in that white and green 82, making his way over and just checking it out. Of course, the marshal straight there to attend, but quite frustrated, as you can see from Bojan. He's not overly happy, as you wouldn't be. I mean, qualifying, and here's the key thing, right, with qualifying, it sets the grid for not one of your races, but all three of them. If you have a poor qualifying in the Extreme 200s or in any of the classes that we've got, you're on the back foot for all 3 point scoring opportunities in a weekend.
Yeah, it's a poor start, unfortunately. That has got to be one of the worst things to happen on a weekend. Start off like that in qualifying, going down at the start. It's really disappointing, but hopefully you'll be able to get back out there and hopefully have some decent races.
About 8 minutes into this session, so only a couple of minutes left to go. And just on that point about Bojan Blaževski, by the way, it would have been all right if he was able to get a decent lap time in initially. Right now, though, he's classified 18th of the 20 riders out on circuit. Provisionally, Finley Polhill sits pole on a 41.078 from Gazlavsky, Curtis, Keats and Federic, the top five. And again, a star-studded field that we've got across all of our categories for the Extreme 200, a combination of a lot of different ones, like we say, the juniors and the seniors all out on circuit. And I just wanted to sort of touch on your point from a bit earlier on when it comes to, you know, the more experienced riders sort of, you know, coming in, teaching these guys a lesson. I remember a couple of years ago at Rowra, Wilson Dilks, who, you know, is off doing some amazing things over in Europe and things. He was obviously very dominant over 2024 in FAB. He wrapped up the 70s, dominated in the extremes, but really got challenged by an older, more experienced rider coming back into FAB. And that sort of wisdom, that experience, and crucially that racecraft is something that a lot of these riders can take away.
Yeah, 100%. It is all about learning and just improving. I mean, you ask any rider who does motorcycle racing, well, any sports person who does any sport, really, and it's all about the learning process. You never stop learning, you never stop building on your career, and that's what these kids are doing. It is finding that ground and building up from there. And then the older riders just keep on learning and keep getting better. They help each other.
Definitely a mutually beneficial relationship in that regard. Of course, if you are now just tuning in, probably a perfect time to do so. Of course, here at FAB-Racing, the stars of the future on the grids of today. Make sure, of course, you like, follow, subscribe, share around, get as many eyes on these young riders as absolutely possible. I don't know if you've seen, but sort of the rookies always get a lot of attention on social media. A couple of them with over millions of views and things, because, yeah, I mean, you've got young kids racing their hearts out on circuit, and it's amazing to be a part of that journey and sort of see that progression. I mean, we saw it recently with Harrison Day wrapping up the Mini GP 70 Championship last year. He's now obviously racing in the RNG Moto4 British Cup in 2026 and doing some brilliant things. We've seen it, you know, of course, Brad Ray, a fantastic example. FAB-Racing, again, providing that opportunity, and the viewers at home, they want their day one ticket, surely.
Yeah, 100%. They're looking for the next generation of people that they're going to be supporting. I mean, as you said, day one ticket. They're probably already waiting on Amazon to see the merchandise show up for the next big star in the classes from the UK. And these are exactly what FAB-Racing does. It brings through those kids to find their way in motorcycle racing, as it has done for so many years and for so many legendary motorcycle racers in the UK. And it looks like, I think, the session, we haven't got much time left now. And Finley Polhill currently at the top with a 40.98 tenths of a second ahead of Sebastian Gazlavsky. So a pretty good start to the session for him. A strong lap and a good margin to second place. 8 tenths of a second is pretty strong.
Yeah, 8 tenths of a second around, you know, a relatively short circuit, right? Just over a kilometre in length. is Lydd. 40.9 is the pole time. 0.8 of a second clear. I mean, we're speaking to some of the riders in the paddock. Jamie King comparing it to Mugello, right? Fast, flowing. You've done a couple of laps of Lydd yourself on the sim. What are the challenges? What are the quirks? And what are we expecting from this sort of circuit to kickstart the season?
It's a really interesting one to start the season, mainly because it's so one line. It's quite difficult to find an overtake, and that's where it becomes so interesting, because we're going to see some of the most ambitious and talented riders come out at this track, because it's all about finding the racecraft and finding your way through on your opponent on a track like this, which is so difficult to find that way up the inside, or even around the outside if you're that creative. All this track, even both layouts that will be used this weekend, they are both so difficult to find your way through. And a shout out to Ducksworth, who I was doing practice with, and we were learning the track together on similar machinery to some of the guys out there, and you literally just have to stay on that exact line. There is no other way to go round unless you put your bike in the way and tell the other person to move, or both on the floor.
I guess that's maybe something we're going to expect to see, that elbows out type of racing. I mean, is that sort of the mentality you've got to have, is the sense that as long as the bike is in the middle of the road, there's not really much that a rider can do? No, not at all. It is the bravest of the brave who will make the moves and get them done in these races, and we're going to see that for sure today. These riders have no fear, and they are 100% ready to take the gap wherever it may lead them. They are brave, and they won't be stopped. So watch out if there's someone on your inside, because it is a FAB-Racing rider looking for that space. Indeed, so we've seen a number of thrills and spills over the years of FAB-Racing, and like I say, the breeding ground of talent of the future, and also as well the battlegrounds, I suppose you could put it, of veteran riders who have come back after years doing other things and giving it another go. Philip Sorowiak, one of them, Sullivan Mounsey, often a feature in the FAB-Racing paddock. They go off, do wonderful things, they come back, give it a go, see if they can still mix it up. Extreme 200s have just concluded their final qualifying session of the weekend. That is going to set the grid for all three of their races this weekend. Finley Polehill, the one on pole, setting the benchmark in the one on the 199 machine with a 40.942, just shy of 0.6 clear of Sebastian Gazlowski. Off the back of two championship victories is Gazlowski in both the 50s and the 50R category over 2025. So after speaking to him earlier, is looking again to take those steps forward, take those lessons into a 7-round season that we've got for 2026. Of course, we started off here at Lydd Kart Circuit. In just over a month's time, we'll head down to Dorset to Clay Pigeon Raceway, Hooton Park a month after that, down to Suffolk, very excitingly, for the fourth round of the championship at Ella Park. Of course, Rowra, Three Sisters and Llandau to round off the 7 rounds that we've got in 2026. Coming up next, though, it's time for Moto Team. The first race of 2026 about to get itself underway, and it's time for Moto Team. Of course, one of the cheapest, most budget-friendly forms of motorsport in the entirety of the UK. But don't let that sort of deter you. It is still a breeding ground for some fantastic racing. Off the back of 2025 in the open category, of course, the unrestricted category, it was Team Acme Racing that took the championship by some 142 points ahead of Gary O'Keefe and Sam Clowes, who were the top 3 after the season of racing. Of course, we have also got the standard class that are going to be out on circuit as well, so a more restricted class. It was Ian Jackson that won that respective one, 107 points clear of Harrison O'Keefe from Linton de Miola in 1, 2 and 3. Of course, very much looking forward to seeing how people fare on, well, the opening round of the season. Again, some cobwebs to be dusted off a little bit, some new faces on the grid as well. All excitement here on a very overcast Lydd. Yeah, 100%. These guys are going to be ready and raring to go. The best thing about the Moto Team Championship is that they're all just ready to have some fun. It's a soft way to start off because, as I said quite a bit earlier, it's all a bit more friendly because you're all a team, but the same way you're motivated. I mean, there's a little bit more pressure, though, I'd say, just to add to that. There is friendliness within the team, but the pressure that if someone gets something wrong, you're letting the whole team down, and that's going to be playing on these guys' minds going into this race. Indeed so. I mean, not everyone is on a team. Some of them are just solo entries, but a couple of them are. And yeah, you're right. You know, you've got the pressure of your teammates on your back as such. But look at that, for the first time in 2026, it's time for Moto Team. On the left, you can see the number 8 Team Acme Racing, the reigning champions that will be assuming pole position. It's eyes to the flag. 2026, Mustang Fab Racing. The flag drops and we go racing towards the opening corner. A bit of a fairing, bashing between the top two as they negotiate their way through the opening chicane for the first time, side by side in the fight for second as well. But Team Acme Racing able to lead through. The 133 trying to dart to the outside of the second chicane now as we get our way into the second half of the circuit towards the hairpin, and on that chase towards the final few corners. Of course, a tentative start for some, but Team Acme Racing flying up in front.
Yeah, brilliant start. They've just gone absolutely on it and left everyone in the dust so far. It might be an aggressive start, but sometimes it works. It is them going absolutely all in. And yeah, as you said, a few people just being a bit tentative off the line, but they'll build into it. They'll get up to speed eventually, and we'll see them making some battles through the pack eventually. But yeah, as you said, just what a start. What a start from Jackson. It was just brilliant on that green machine, and hopefully he can maintain this. But it looks like he's starting to see some trouble behind him.
Yeah, potentially so. Marco Pandolfo at the handlebars for that one is up there and mounting each other. Not entirely sure as to who that is at the moment. Towards the back end of the field, one of the O'Keefes, we're getting told, down and out, able to pick the bike back up and get back going. That's the 11. That's Malcolm Stein, who was mounted by one of the O'Keefes, but able to get back on the bike and maybe give it another go. Not the most ideal way to start your season by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, that's going to be disappointing for them, but they'll be out next time tomorrow and hopefully be able to recover from that. It was a bit difficult, but yeah, we've got some action coming on now. The number 8 versus the number 28 for this. We've got a battle on our hands and it's going to be good. Here we go then. We're on lap 2.
As it stands, Team Acme Racing, Marco Pandolfo leading the way. You can see in that metallic green, number 8. Team Acme Racing, like I say, reigning champions of 2025. Ian Jackson chasing them down. Also look out for Team SFC. That's Matt Lindley on the handlebars. Then behind that, you've got Ivana Di Francesco in 4th position. From that, you've then got Thomas Dudson in 5th. So that's the top 5 as they run. We're on lap 2 of what will be a 11-lap race. The 191 having a couple of problems there as well. That is going to be Phil Mapplebeck, who suffered a couple of problems. Changed for the lead as well. So the 28 of Ian Jackson has gone through and up into the race lead ahead of Marco Pandolfo on the number 8. So into the chicane once more, and yellow flags through this sector, so no overtaking from them. But the top 3, Riley, remaining incredibly close in the early phase of this race.
Yeah, what a good way to start the season. It's a 46-0 from SFC in 3rd, so keep an eye out for him. Really going on it for now. Really pushing on the pace, just trying to put the pressure on these two at the start of this race and keep with them. This battle is just going to keep getting better and better and better, and if they keep battling, then we're going to see more people stack up behind them, and then it's going to be a real pack race in the Moto Team race to start the season.
Pushing their way through a little bit of traffic. There's the 34. That's Spencer Collingwood, just getting lapped by our leaders, and also the number 3. That's the gold member. So the arrive and ride bike that we were talking about as they negotiate their way through. You can see Team Acme Racing getting underneath them, getting a little bit caught up there in terms of traffic. Now that's not something sort of we often see in this style of racing, but when you've got the more seasoned veterans of Jackson, of Pandolfo, etc., maybe you are going to mix that up with, you know, the newcomers, right, who are going to be slightly off the pace. Lap traffic, as proven there, has widened up this gap, and now Team Acme have really got to charge back after them coming into the sort of the end of the first half of this race.
Yeah, with this sort of racing, you have to expect back markers to come into play. You can't really go blaming anyone for that. It's an unfortunate thing, but it's how racing works. Sometimes you get caught up in back markers, but now Team Acme has got the absolute job of closing back the gap, and not far behind them, SFC is going to be working hard to make that gap close too.
You can see zooming in the number 3, who already unfortunately a lap down as it stands, but like I say, the arrive and ride style, the gold member is sent to the inside there, having to sit the bike up and getting sandwiched is the gold member on the number 3. The 141 working their way through. That's Ivano Di Francesco, followed by Thomas Dudson. So that's the battle for 4th and 5th in the overall standings. Quick run through as we're on to the 5th lap of 11. So closing into the halfway mark of this race. It's Ian Jackson that leads Marco Pandolfo, the Team Acme number 8 from SFC, from Ivano Di Francesco and Thomas Dudson. That battle that we're following here. From Ben O'Keefe, Phil Joyce, then comes Adam Harris in P8, Marco Gelli and Peter Appleton, the top 10 as they run. Currently here at Lydd on, like I say, now the 6th of 11 laps. And right now you have to say Ian Jackson doing exactly sort of what you'd expect from him, right? Pulling away at the front. Team Acme, though, clawing back some of that time. Last time through was actually 8 tenths in favour of the number 8. So clawing that lap time through is also, we look at this battle for 4th, Ivano Di Francesco under a bit of pressure from the 22. But like we were saying, overtaking, you've really got to be clever about it around Lydd. Yeah,
I think for now we're just going to be waiting. Just you sort of hang around for a little bit, see where your teammate is strong, enemy, and study them almost. You've got to see what corner they're faster than you through and what corner you're faster than them through, and then you find that move eventually. It will take a couple laps, but it's crunch time now. As you said, halfway point. They need to get moving and battling for that top few positions. Things are starting to spread out now, but the max push is going to be increasing for every single rider on circuit here as they look for that extra position before the race is over.
Very much so. Lap 7 of 11, so very much into the closing stages. What could happen, as we can see, some very busy moments for Team Acme as they charge back after Ian Jackson. The gap actually stretching back open to just under a second now between the two of them as they once again negotiate some of that lap traffic. The 133 now of SFC is the one applying pressure, up in a second position, so tipping Marco Pandolfo there, the number 8, the reigning champion, dropping to 3rd position, heading into the final few laps. Still got 3 bikes involved in this battle as they once again negotiate the last lap traffic, sent to the inside, potentially into the second chicane. Thinking about it is SFC, and now Ian Jackson once more feeling the pressure, not from one bike but 2, following it down. The 133, the middle of this train, so that's second. The all green number 8 is 3rd, and just in front the 28, Ian Jackson, our race leader, and well, a very unhealthy looking bike there as the Red Bull liveried machine desperately tries to get itself back into this race. Meanwhile, the top 3 battling away like it's no one's business.
Yeah, Acme's just got back through into second on SFC, and he's going for the lead. Oh no, sorry, that's a lap rider, my mistake. And it looks like that lap rider has actually cost them a little bit more time to catch up to Ian Jackson. It looks like that once again they've got work to do. So the back markers really not playing towards their favour for the moment. Only a few laps to go now, and it really is crunch time. They've really got to work together, SFC and Acme, if they want any chance of winning this race.
Ian Jackson through the hairpin at the bottom end of the circuit. We were talking to a couple, and of course the bump is quite noticeable on the exit. You've got to be careful when you're twisting that throttle and getting yourself back up to speed. Also the undulating S's that lead you onto that final stretch on these bigger bikes towards the final corner. Probably a slightly double apex approach for these guys. They're approaching it at quite some speed, so getting the bike leaned in quite early, washing it out wide, then tucking back in, very spoon curve-esque before you accelerate yourself back down the start-finish straight onto what could well be the final lap of racing, onto, well, the final one here. 10 laps completed onto the 11th, so it's looking good for Ian Jackson. He's held off the pressure brilliantly up in front.
Yeah, Acme started to close back in though. The pressure will start to be building. Does he know how big that gap is though? Acme is going to really start to close. Some more back markers coming up ahead though, so that might make an issue. It's made quite a difference in this race so far, and I can imagine that we're going to see a bit more of a difference for it now. And here we go then. Acme coming up behind another back marker, and that might have just gained Ian Jackson a little bit more of a safe barrier going into this last lap, where he can just relax instead of really pushing for it. But we'll see what the gap is as they come out of the last corner, and it is the victory for Jackson. He held that one brilliantly. At first, sitting behind the Acme Racing team, that was just brilliant though. Held off really well and really did a good job of making his way around those back markers, and that is a really, honestly, a really impressive job just to make his way around them, because we saw a lot of issues for the other teams battling him for the victory, and he made a quick job of the back markers to get through and take the win, and they were ultimately the thing that put him between that gap in the last corner and denying it Acme of a move into the last corner and getting him onto the run to the line.
Yeah, exactly that. Ian Jackson, I think, a phenomenal ride by any stretch of the imagination there. You can see Mapplebeck having a problem or so. We'll run you through the results in just a couple of moments, but Ian Jackson takes first blood in 2026. Brilliant stuff from him in a spectacular battle between the reigning champions, Team FAB-Racing and Team SFC. In the end, though, the 28 of Ian Jackson would be victorious from the reigning champions, SFC. Then comes Ivano Di Francesco, then Thomas Dudson, Ben O'Keefe from Phil Joyce, Adam Harris from Mario Jelly, and then Harrison O'Keefe rounding out the top 10. Paul Kelly, Robert Leveridge from Gary O'Keefe, from Madison Martelou, the Triple Eight in 14th. The gold member finishes out in 15th from Spencer Collingwood in P16, rounding out the first field of 2026. And a good one to start off with there. I mean, Ian Jackson, we touched on it there, the maturity and the racecraft to have dealt with that lap traffic, and then also the pressure from, no mean feat. You're holding off the reigning champion and also SFC chasing after you as well. By no means easy, but kept a cool head and, took the first checker flag of the year.
Yeah, as I said before, it was just brilliant. And there's not much wrong he did there in that race. All right, then it's time for the next race. Here we are. If that first race for Moto team was anything to go by, the rest of today's action is going to be absolutely fantastic.
Just off the back of 2025, Tommy Williams, Joey Athasich and Danny Longhurst were the three that were battling tooth and nail all the way to the end. Tommy Williams actually taking a triple victory this time last year at Lydd. Of course, he's taken the step up into bigger machinery. We'll run you through the full grid in a moment, but it's Fair Veltshausen that will start on the triple one on pole position alongside Noah Barfoot. You can see just there on the right-hand side on the 36 machine. And again, these are riders that are still incredibly young, right? They've had a couple of seasons granted under their belts. They're getting a bit more experienced, but ultimately still very raw, very passionate. And I think that is going to be on display out on circuit. Also, the different layout these guys have got to run as well.
Yeah, 100%. That infield is going to make for some interesting manoeuvres from these young kids. They'll take any chance they can get. They see a gap, they're going to go for it. They'll stick the bike in there and make it work.
Just moments away until we get this one underway. And, for these young riders, we spoke about pressure just a moment ago in the form of Ian Jackson dealing with it. If you're Veltshausen now on the front row, on pole position for the first race of the season, what sort of maybe going through your mind? What emotions are you going to have to deal with on that run towards T1?
Honestly, all these kids are going to be thinking is win, win, win at all costs, because there is nothing that they want more than to jump in on that first place in the podium and take the spoils. It is all out push for the victory for this one as they get going now.
We're on the way out onto circuit now. The triple one, Veltshausen, will start on pole position for the first AC40 Pro race of the season. Noah Barfoot alongside with James Dermott and Finley Stiles sharing row number 2. Randy Carter, Ethan Baylor share row 3 with Jude Good and Adele Everett on row 4. A lonely row number 5 for Suze Leenders, our 9th and final rider to take to the start of this one. Very much looking forward to the mini moto is always giving us a great display. 9 laps of racing for these young riders, and like we were saying, that revised infield layout, so they get 2 extra hairpins. In fact, 2 extra hairpins on this circuit, with that, 2 overtaking opportunities to go with it. We saw obviously on the bigger bikes more fast, more flowing, not really any hard stops to get that difference under braking, whereas in the mini motos you absolutely do have that.
Yeah, 100%. It's all about the corner speed on these little things, and the best thing to do to overtake an opponent is interrupt their rhythm and completely ruin any chance of them getting a run out of the corner. And that is exactly what will be going through these kids' minds. It is ruin everybody's run and make sure that you're on the right line. It is all through the corner that this counts.
Gridding themselves up for the first time of their season, of course. Riders that are going to be eyeing up that championship on the right, and very high revving 2-strokes, these AC40 pros. We've seen some brilliant battles of the past, and young riders climbing their way through the ranks to eventually get themselves onto the bigger geared bikes. Eyes to the flag once again. Velthausen from Noah Barfoot on the front row of the grid. 9 laps of racing for AC40 Pro. All eyes to the flag. Lee Clowes there, chucking the clipboard over. Let's kickstart the opening mini-moto race of 2026. No Aftermath FAB-Racing British Minibike Championship. Velthausen on pole position. The flag drops. We get underway. Slight jump start there from Noah Barfoot, who sweeps his way around the outside into the opening chicane. Has the inside for turn number 2, but Velthausen tries to muscle her way through. That's not going to cut it for the 36. Barfoot goes through into the lead of the race, followed very quickly by James Dermott on the 27 machine. Into the hairpin at the top end of the circuit for the first time. Now, was that start too good for Noah Barfoot?
Yeah, I did see a little bit of movement there from Barfoot just off the line, but nonetheless, it was a brilliantly crafted move to get through into first place, and now he's leading. But we are going to see eventually what develops of that start. I mean, it may have just been a slight misinput, but I'm pretty sure that there was some movement there from Noah Barfoot. And of course, what an incredible start nonetheless, even if it was to make his way through into the lead at the hairpin.
Through the final sector, we can see that infield section in full effect through the final corner. And look at this, Motorsport Media, well, top quality curb cam, of course. These mini motos, one of the highest speed corners they're going to be reaching through, of course, basically flat out for these guys. We can see a pretty intense battle going on there, and I do love that curb cam. Of course, the stationary low downfield, you really do get that sensation of speed, even though they're on these, only 40cc mini motos. They're carrying a decent chunk of speed through there.
Yeah, as I said before, it's all about that corner speed, and they're going to go flying past. On that curb cam, you just saw that more wide line that they take through to get way around that corner and keep flat out on those things, and especially on the 2 strokes as well, you're going to want to be flat chat as much as you can throughout the race.
Following the battle for 4th and 5th currently, Finley Styles leading Randy Carter. Currently it's Noah Barfoot that leads Velthausen, the 111 who started on pole position, struggling to stay on tabs with the 36 as it stands in the fight for the lead. James Dermott not a million miles away off that battle, but then Finley Styles, who is there on the 119, getting chased after though by the 69 machine of Randy Carter. And again, like we say, these mini motos have got a couple more overtaking opportunities, and look at the drive there off that opening chicane from Randy Carter. Going to look to go to the outside. That's covered off by the 119, and now only 2 laps onto the third of a 9-lap race. Finley Styles feeling the pressure. It's going to be a very uphill climb in order to keep this 4th position.
Yeah, they're both going to go all out for this. Eventually, I think if they carry on with this pace, we are going to see a pass, but it is going to go all the way to the flag if they stay like this. Either they're going to work together and try and catch the leaders, but that doesn't tend to happen in this class. They're all out for the position that they're fighting for at the moment. And currently, Randy just still trying to find his way through. He's taking the wider line there to see if he can make it through. He's going to try and get alongside, and he's going to pull it to the next hairpin and try and get underneath him. Once again, putting himself on the outside and then to the inside. Still can't find that way through. And then around the final corner, he's going to try and get the best exit he can to make his way through. Still nothing for him, but he will be patient and not go for something too crazy just yet.
Look at the acceleration off that first chicane from Randy Carter. Spoke to him, of course, on our little paddock walk, and definitely feeling pumped up for the season ahead, charging for the championship, looking to go around the outside of that top-end hairpin. Definitely has got the agility. I think just runs out a little bit on the exit, but you can see now riding slightly wider to cut in, get that better exit, utilise your strength. If you know you're good on an exit and carrying that minimum speed, if you can just keep that drive up through the sort of the medium speed corners around Lydd, you're probably going to be eyeing up a good move. The only problem is, of course, is that Styles, you're not dropping down to too low of a rev range. You're not dropping down the speed too much. So it just means that advantage doesn't really matter as much for Randy Carter. He can't really utilise that too much until you get to this final sector where the gap once again really does close on that run towards the first chicane.
Yeah, he's set up the exit really well there. He's got just a little bit closer to Finley this time, has Randy, and he's going to try and get the exit here out of the chicane. And once again, he seems really, really strong on those exits. Always looking for that outside line. As they come into the hairpin now, once again, you see him taking that wider line, and just a bit of a moment there on the exit, so that might have lost him a little bit, but again on those wide lines, really trying to find it. And this is where you see that talent and creativity that builds these riders' racecraft. It's a track like this that teaches a rider how to craft an absolutely fantastic move, and that is what we're seeing. Randy Carter's head currently running through every single possible move that he can pull off on Finley Styles here as he tries to go to the inside. That's a brave move and a brilliant one at that from Randy Carter as he goes straight through on Finley Styles, and he's left himself a good gap for that. Really caught him napping there, as now with 3 laps to go, it's a good one.
Yeah, really nice move, and you could see that was set up 2 corners in advance. Going into the first hairpin there, Randy Carter going very wide, setting up the switchback, not for the first hairpin, but to do it again for the second one, get that drive, get that acceleration, and get themselves down the inside, up now into 4th position. Bit of an update, of course, Noah Barfoot running away with things up in front, the 36 machine. There you can see him making his way into the infield section. Currently leads by 2.4 seconds from Fea Velthausen. The lap times between them, not too much. Their best lap time, a 56.8 for the pair of them. Their last lap time, a 56.8 for the pair of them. Incredible consistency on display from Barfoot and Velthausen. It just means that start that Barfoot has, I mean, he just was incredible. Again, when we looked at it, there was maybe a bit of a twitch. I don't think he maybe left his grid box as such, or he might just be able to get away with it. But since then, the opening couple of laps, he's been able to build this gap, so much so that even though Velthausen is sort of keeping on tabs in terms of pace, there's not really much that the 111 can do in order to catch Barfoot. It's just reached that stalemate, and all the 36 needs to do from now on is maintain this gap.
Yeah, of course. And in this race, we're seeing a mix of 2 different types of talent. We have seen that incredible racecraft and knowing of where to put your bike on the track from Carter and Styles. But now, from Barfoot, we are seeing just how you manage such incredible pace, and that consistency you mentioned is just electric. It is never ending. Not one mistake so far, and he's going along really, really well here as he'll come across the line with 2 laps to go. He's just got to keep on for it for a few more moments now, and it'll be all his to take home to reward that incredible consistency he's got.
Penultimate lap of the race for Noah Barfoot, starting on a very strong foot is Noah, the 36, currently leading from the 111. Then comes the 27 of James Dermott. Randy Carter, after a 4-long battle with Finley Styles. Those 2 complete the top 5 from Jude Good, Ethan Bayliss, Adele Everett, and Suze Leenders, the 9th and final rider out on circuit. Currently, all of them out, and well, all of them still racing, which is of course good to see. Bit of a battle starting to form now. A bit further back in the pack there, you can see the 33 being chased down by the 86. That's Jude Good versus Ethan Bayliss. This the battle for 6th position. Now heading on to what could well be the final lap of racing. 7 completed, and Noah Barfoot has just got to negotiate, well, about half a lap now before he takes his first victory of 2026.
Yeah, we're just watching this battle, and again, it's all about finding your way through and promoting that corner speed to find it. Now, on this last lap, Barfoot just doing everything he can to keep consistent, keep in that zone. You're nearly there now. Stay calm and it will be yours. And we're also going to keep an eye on this battle for 6th between Good and Bayliss, because I think Bayliss might just have something more to throw out of nowhere. But look at Barfoot making his way through on a back marker. Absolutely incredible consistency. As I've said so much time before, he has been absolutely phenomenal throughout this race as he comes through this final section. Now, the section this class is original to compared to the Moto team race we just had, and here he comes then through one of the overtaken hotspots, but there's nobody he can see on his inside that can stop him today. No one could. From turn 1, it was brilliant. He wins this one. What an absolute show from him. Incredible consistency from Noah Barfoot to take victory. Wow. How about that one, Zach? What a show.
Yeah, brilliant display there from Noah Barfoot from, well, flag to flag, really. He didn't start on pole position, but he very quickly got himself into the lead, and that was helped by a brilliant getaway. Maybe too good, but nonetheless, nothing can be taken away from the incredible ride from then on in. Incredible consistency, ruthless pace, and just pulling away from the rest of the field, negotiating the traffic very well and not letting complacency get to his head either. He will take the first victory in the AC40 Pro season here in 2026, and with it will lead the championship. But of course, there's still a front row start for the other 2 races that the pros will have over tomorrow. So Velthausen will have to review, go again, and try to refine their starts, ready for 2 brilliant battles over tomorrow.
Here is your top 10 from that absolutely fantastic race. Noah Barfoot winning by 2.8 seconds, the largest gap we've seen so far today. An absolutely fantastic performance from him, and just incredible, to be honest. And second place was Felzujan in second. A bit of a lonely race as well for James Dermott in third, but strong consistency to hang on to that podium place. And what a battle we saw between Randy Carter and Finley Styles to take fourth and fifth. Jude Good took sixth, Ethan Baylor seventh, Adele Everett eighth, and Suze Leenders in ninth. Yeah, 2 more races for tomorrow for them to come back, review and improve. There's not much for Noah Barfoot to improve on, but there's everything to find, and I'm sure he will. He'll do everything to find that and make himself even more possibly unbeatable.
The third race of the day and the first for the AC40 rookies in 2026. For some of these riders, their first race ever getting themselves around the Lydd kart circuit. If you are now just joining us, hello and welcome to the Mastermac Fab Racing British Minibike Championship in 2026 here on Motorsport Media. Myself, Zach Spinney, Riley Davis alongside me in the commentary box. And Riley, when we talk about, well, their first step on the ladder, this is, well, the very first one. AC40 rookies, some of these riders, very first competitive race, potentially even first competitive track sessions for these riders, making their way around the circuit.
Very excited to get going, and nothing's going to stop them from doing everything they can to win this race. And you might just see a few mistakes, but this is why these kids are learning, and they're learning to be the best. And I'm sure they're already super talented here to be in Fab Racing. And tell us who you're watching in the comments, who you're cheering on, who's your favourite for your racing so far. It has been a good weekend to start. We've had a good race in Moto team and a good race just there. And now they're coming around to the grid. It's time for the AC40 rookies to get out. Oh, somebody just having an issue there.
It's the 25, maybe? A little bit further back. In the pack will confirm, of course, desperately trying to get the bike restarted to make it to the grid. The majority of the field are there. We'll run you through that, by the way. Albie Stone will take pole position from Lawson Dorrington. They'll share row 1 from Eros Garrett and Bobby Baker, who share row 2. Albie Miller from Tyler J. Winwood. Savannah Polden from Hudson Heaps. Jack Irwin, Theo Tyler, the top 10. Izzy Cook from Vinnie Glossop. Then comes Imogen Vivas, Freddie Fletcher, Marlo Simmons, and Louis Elimek from 16th position. William Green, Courtney Spiller, Harley Spiller in 19th. From Oscar Bond in 20th position. There you can see the 251. That's Arlo Simmons due to start this race from grid 15. Whether that's going to be the case or not, well, remains to be seen. Always unfortunate way to start the season. Bike troubles, and especially at such a young age, you're going to be feeling that emotion, quite brutally. There you can see desperately getting over there to get that bike started, and there we go. Lucky escape for the 251 of Simmons, who could well still take to the start of this race.
Yeah, thank the Lord that he was able to do that and get back involved. Now they're just waiting for him to come along, so he should be able to get round now nice and quick to get this race started. The AC40 rookies, attention's going to be building now. These kids, their first time, some of them, their first time out in Fab Racing. Yeah, this is going to be incredible.
Lined up on the grid, awaiting the arrival of Arlo Simmons to get this race on the way, waiting the arrival of a couple of riders actually making their way through the infield section, as you can see. Nerves and anticipation building for the likes of Albie Stone, for Lawson Dorrington, the two that you can see there sharing the front row. Behind that, the 84 of Eros Garrett and Bobby Baker, who share row 2, the 64, just to the bottom right of your screen in the yellow and black leathers. Behind that, a big grid, 20 bikes taking to the start of this one. 8 laps of racing in the AC40 rookies class for the Mastermac Fab Racing British Minibike Championship. Of course, the rookies supported by Grassroots to Grand Prix, who have done so much for young riders in the UK, whether that's sets of tyres, entry fees, support on social media, whatever it is, providing their support and giving these young riders the tools and the equipment that they need to progress through the ranks. And there you can see, good old-fashioned flag start in 2026. Lee Clowes, the flag marshal there with the UK flag, Motorsport award-winning Marshall. eyes to the lights for some of these riders for the very first time in their competitive career. Here at Lydd Kart Circuit, it's Albie Stone, Lawson Dorrington that share the front row. Flag drops. We Go Racing, a great launch there from the 38, but not quite good enough, as down the inside goes Eros Garrett, the 84, with an almighty launch off the line. Brilliant stuff as Albie Stone desperately tries to get back underneath, outside line in towards the second chicane, but that's thwarted by Garrett, who will hold the lead. Talking about the front row, the attack came from third position. The switchback is there though. Albie Stone straight back into the race lead.
Yeah, Eros Garrett really went for it there, and unfortunately just went a bit wide. Got a bit too excited at the start of this race, but there is definitely still a chance. If he can just sit in there, he's got 8 laps to go to really get involved and push on for this one. Lawson Dorrington, though, he's done a really good job to fight back and retake the lead.
Side by side into the infield section, the 38 trying to thwart the attack or work their way back into second. That is Lawson Dorrington on the inside of Eros Garrett, whose initial launch now becoming slightly undone. Gave it a good go, led for all of about 2 corners. Albie Stone now in control. Of course, took pole position by a couple of seconds. The front row by a couple of seconds. Eros Garrett was some 3.3 off the back of the top 2, who are only separated by 0.2 of a second. Now the 2 of them have got clear air once again in front of them, back into first and second as they begun this race. Maybe we could start to see Dorrington reel in Albie Stone in front. But of course, for these rookies, they are probably going to be learning something every single time they go around the Lydd Kart Circuit lap.
Yeah, definitely. It is all a learning process, and these guys are going to be enjoying it every step of the way. Whether they're winning or losing, it is going to be a really fun race. In 7 laps to go, they're going to be getting everything out of it to push their machines to the max and get victory. It is all still possible, and Albie Stone really trying to make that impossible with a 2.1 second lead at the moment. He's really, really putting the effort in to start this race well.
Following our leader there, Albie Stone, the number 16, showing everyone else how it's done. And again, with the rookies, right, because they're on their first step, when you're first getting into it, you know, you're going to be rusty. Very quickly, you're going to learn the ropes. And then after that, you know, the progress then becomes a little bit slower. The faster you get, the harder it is to then go faster beyond that. But because a lot of these guys are on their very first step, we are going to start to see those skill divides. And then hopefully, as the season goes on, more and more people will start to get involved at the front.
Yeah, everybody just builds their own confidence and enjoys different tracks. So that's the joy of this championship. We're going to see a lot of different people up and running at the front throughout different rounds. So hopefully whoever's struggling this weekend will all of next round be up at the front doing what we're seeing from Albie Stone here.
He's racing very well indeed. Of course, behind that you've got Lawson Dorrington, Eros Garrett, Tyler J. Windward, I should say. Of course, then you've got Bobby Baker rounding out the top 5, following their second position. Dorrington behind that, the 84 of Eros Garrett, who, like we say, got a really good launch. And that's a skill. I mean, even if you are slightly off the pace currently, that's not to say you are going to be in a couple of rounds' time. If you can master your starts, that is sometimes the be-all and end-all, especially around circuits that are difficult to overtake like this one. There's the 38, though. There's Lawson Dorrington has gone off, is able to get back out onto the circuit, though. And even if he is able to return to this race, is going to be way down the order. So that's from second position off the bike.
Oh, what a shame. He's having to get some help there to try and get back out on track. He was really away well there, but unfortunately it has sort of been undone. And as you were saying about getting that good start, Eros Garrett, he was absolutely electric off the line. But yeah, Albie Stone pulling that out now to 13.3 seconds. An absolutely sublime performance from him with a 101.8 fastest lap.
And also, just on that fastest lap, by the way, that's 0.4 quicker than his pole time earlier today. Pushing very hard, as we saw a slight bit of a twitch there from the 16. But it goes back to that point of these guys are constantly improving. He set pole position by quite some margin. He's now completely smashed that. Obviously, maybe track conditions and the track being more rubbered in and things, that's something we have to take into consideration. But to go out there and in the first couple of laps of this race, go 0.3 quicker than your pole time, again, he's just getting quicker and quicker, learning and learning. Albie Stone currently, I mean, he's just darting through everyone else like they're stood still.
Yeah, he's really got the confidence within him, and he is pushing so hard to bring out an absolutely enormous lead. It is really impressive from the young man. And one thing I will be careful of is if he is enjoying it too much, as you said, like smashing his own pole lap time. and he had that twitch the lap before. He's got to be careful there, just going onto that dirt on the outside, going around the outside of a back marker. My goodness me, he is really enjoying his racing out there. Wow.
Yeah, he's remarkable at such a young age. The rookies, of course, has been a fantastic battleground. I remember a couple of years ago, Emilio Pereira and Nelly Knuth in their titanic battle, which wasn't decided until the final lap. In fact, the final 2 corners of the final race of the season. Emilio Pereira, instead to go and win that championship, came down with about 5 laps left to go. And a heroic effort to chase after Nelly Knuth. I think it was actually 3 laps to go. To chase after Nelly Knuth. Had one opportunity to go down the inside. Went for it. Granted, came off and Nelly Knuth was crowned champion. But the battle that they shared, between the two of them, they took 19 of the 21 victories in 2024. So even though these are the youngest riders on the field, that does not necessarily mean that we're going to have poor racing by any means. Albie Stone just giving everyone a demonstration so far around the Lydd Kart circuit. Last time through, a 104.8, 4 seconds quicker than Tyler J. Winded in second position from Garrett Baker. Miller, the top 5. Dorrington climbing their way back up in a 6th position is Lawson, the 38, who we saw go down a couple of laps ago. So a valiant effort to stay in contention in this race. And of course, Albie Stone, like we always talk about, the gap is growing. 24.2 seconds now is the gap between Stone and Tyler J. Winded. There's another rider going down there just at the going into the final corner. But Albie Stone, a remarkable winning margin for the opening race of the season.
Yeah, it is just incredible how fast he's been in this race, and everybody just quite a far bit behind, but they'll go back and they'll think more about what the race was like for them and build some more confidence. That's what it is for these little kids. They're all enjoying their racing. It's no pressure. They're not, fighting for a contract or whatever. They're out with their family and friends, just racing and enjoying their time. And that's exactly what Albie Stone's doing out at the front at the moment. What an incredible race he's putting together so far. We're going to keep saying it because it is just truly fantastic. Yeah. And here he comes through on some more back markers, making quick work, just trying to keep a little bit careful here as someone went down the inside. All right then, 1 lap to go for Albie Stone. He's got all of a lap to go until he is crowned the winner of the first race of the weekend for the AC40 rookies and the first race of the season for them as well. An absolute barnstormer performance from him. It has just been spotless so far. Let's hope he keeps performing like this throughout the season. As Zach mentioned, there was an absolutely fantastic battle a few years ago even for the championship. And if Albie Stone keeps rolling like this, then I don't think it's going to be as close, but it'll be just as spectacular due to this incredible performance as he comes around the penultimate corner, just with a back marker in front. He's going to go around the outside. Oh, sorry, no, not the penultimate corner. It's the other layout, isn't it? And here he comes then into one of the overtaking hotspots around this penultimate corner. This time, look at that gap. It is just unseeable, but what is seeable is his talent. Albie Stone wins here at Lydd Karting Circuit. What a performance from him in the AC40 rookies race. He'll definitely be on top of the world going into the next race. Truly fantastic.
Yeah, what a display there from Albie Stone. A dominant run to kickstart the 2026 season in the AC40 rookies. But again, the other riders, a valiant effort from each and every single one of them. I mean, the bravery to take to these machines at such a young age around this circuit and deal with that adrenaline. I mean, you have to commend that bravery. The youngest riders that we've got, upwards of 7 years old, incredible to see them out on circuit. I mean, even if they didn't win, even if they weren't even in the top 20, to be out on circuit, giving it a go, making that progress, it's incredible to see.
Yeah, and he's still going on strong for it. Again, we're seeing just the incredible talent that could be one day in the top classes, and Albie Stone a perfect example. All right then, here are your results from that fantastic race. Albie Stone took victory with an incredible margin of 38.2 seconds ahead of second place being Tyler J. Windard and Eros Garrett in third place. Lawson Dorrington in fourth, Baker fifth, sixth for Miller, seventh Heaps, Holden eighth, Tyler ninth and 10th, Cook 11th for Vinnie Glossop, and that is your results. I went one further there, but yeah, what a race for them, AC40 rookies.
It's time for the AC40 Interclass, the fourth race of the day. We've just concluded the Rookies Cup, and now time for the next logical progression for the pros, of course, the Inters. Daisy Grayson will start this one on pole position. We spoke to her dad a little bit earlier on. He's feeling quite good. Her final year potentially on the mini motos, and well, she's kickstarting it very, very nicely indeed. Now, as I was sort of typing out the grid on my little spreadsheet, I do like my spreadsheets. Typing out the grid, I noticed the lap times: 1 minute 0.937 for Daisy Grayson, a 1 minute 0.953 for Jensen Brown, who will complete the front row of the grid. Now, again, these riders, they're only on the second step of that ladder through the FAB-Racing ranks, and they're separated by, 16 thousandths of a second?
Yeah, just telling you how tightly packed the talent is in these classes. It is so impressive to see such short times in qualifying, and hopefully it will be just as close in the race. We're ready for some action. The AC40 Inters then about to get running. They would have seen that AC40 Rookies race and be willing to put on just as much of a show that Albie Stone did back there with an incredibly dominant performance. But I can't really see that happening with how close those qualifying times were, Zach.
No, it's going to be a tough one to dominate. Of course, behind Daisy Grayson and Jensen Brown, you've got Logan Paisley, who will start this one in P3 alongside Austin Baton on the second row. Zach Athasich from Oakley Hipwell on row 3. Chase Carter and Casey Reeson on row 4. Keely Bailey and Chase Richards round out the 10-rider field that we've got for the AC40 Interclass. And, well, very much looking forward to this one. Of course, the Interclass coming into this one, 9 laps of racing for these guys. And like we say, 16,000 separating the battle for pole. Daisy Grayson, well, she needs a good start to fend off Jensen Brown.
Yeah, you have to get a good start, especially into a chicane like that to start off the lap. It is quite easy to get surprised and someone to dive bomb you. So you've got to take the defensive line and be a bit careful going down into turn 1, just to make sure you don't get caught up in any nonsense. And of course, a big hello to our worldwide viewers who are joining us for what promises to be an absolute show for AC40 Inters. Alright then, Logan Paisley lines up. We get ready to go, the engine's revving high, sounding brilliant. Not much better sounds than motorbikes going around the track on a nice Saturday afternoon. Thankfully no rain, not the best of weather, but we're going to be grateful. Here we go then, AC40 Inters, it is time to get rolling. Here we go. Oh, a big jump start, something's happened there. I think we had a problem with the lights, a few riders jumping the line, so I'm not quite sure what happened there.
Just go when you like, I think. Yeah. Is the mentality that Jensen Brown was given. I mean,
quite a few people
eager to get the season underway, let's put it that way. I mean, Daisy Grayson was just sat on the grid getting overtaken by fourth behind and just going, what's everyone playing at? She's still got the flag in her hand. They're back on the grid, so hopefully second time lucky.
Yeah, try again. I think a few too many riders copied him there and went for it, so yeah, complete reset. Just getting probably a little telling off for that one. But we will see what will come of this race in the AC40 Inters. They're going to get another shot at this one. And let's hope nobody jumps to start this time. We're away, and it's a bit of a rocky start for Daisy Grayson as Jensen Brown goes through on that yellow bike. Oh, and a crash at the start there for two riders. and somebody injured, unfortunately, as the race goes on.
Yeah, we'll confirm as to the two riders that were down there, but good to see them on their feet, albeit maybe slightly winded or slightly hurt. Nonetheless, at the front end of the field, Jensen Brown leads from Daisy Grayson in second position. Chasing after them will be the likes of Logan Paisley and Austin Baton, trying desperately to stay in contention after being slightly off the pace in qualifying. 9 laps of racing for the Inters, and following that battle at the front there, you can see the 119 of Daisy Grayson, of course the black and the pink, chasing after the yellow and blue of Jensen Brown, the 171 through the infield section, set up that late apex, get the acceleration off of it. So far so good on the opening lap for Brown, who, well, timed his start a little bit better this time.
Yeah, Logan Paisley also got a good start there, up into third place now, chasing this battle between Daisy Grayson and Jensen Brown. Daisy was just a bit of a difficult start, and now has got some work to do to get back through on Jensen Brown as they go through that yellow flag sector there, and they're all good to go racing now. Hard to miss, as you said, that yellow and black machine as she tries to look for a move into the hairpin. Just a little bit too far back for now, but still, she's got plenty of time to calculate.
And what's sort of going through the mind of Grayson right now, you know, in terms of what she's feeling, of course, supported by the House of Moto highest achieving female racer award that's been sort of going on for the last couple of years, giving those female riders the platform to prove their talent and to, well, not necessarily to prove it, but to showcase their talent onto such a big stage. And that support, I mean, going a long, long way, whether that's, you know, displays at shows or the support at circuit, the effort that goes in there is phenomenal. But right now in this race for Daisy Grayson, you know, she's focused firmly, her eyes set onto the rear end of Jensen Brown just in front of her. What's going through her mind? What can she, you know, try and do? What differences can she make to get herself back into the lead?
I'll tell you what differences she can make is hard on the brakes, and that's exactly what she was there into the hairpin. Closed some really good time on Jensen Brown, and as you said, with all that support, she's got more motivation to be the best, and that is exactly what she is going for at the moment. P1 in this race. She chases down Jensen Brown, still trying to find that way through, but as I said, probably just being a little bit careful for now, just waiting and seeing where Jensen is strong. Got a long way to go, so nothing too crazy for now. Let's make sure everybody gets to the end. That's what they'll be thinking at this point in time. Quite windy out, and that'll be affecting these little bikes. Might just be throwing some people off a bit, as looks like Logan Paisley is under threat to lose his podium position from Austin Baton, who's looking racy coming out of that last corner, trying to get in the slipstream on what a straight that's not all that long, so it's hard to get the benefit of that.
Yeah, the wind definitely will play into a factor in terms of the slipstream. Just trying to work out as to which direction the wind is going. I think it is beneficial, either it's a headwind or a tailwind at certain points of the circuit, which of course both beneficial to the rider behind, whether that's slowing the rider in front down or speeding you as the rider behind up. Battle as well for third position. You've got Logan Paisley versus Austin Baton. The chasing red and yellow leathers, of course, of Baton, getting after Paisley, trying to apply some of that pressure now into the infield section. The 100 has got an almighty run to the outside into the first of the two hairpins, tries to get the look down, but the green and black machine has got it covered. The 25 so far so good, and now able to open up a little bit of a gap heading into the final couple of corners with 5 to go at the line.
You can hear people in the crowd cheering as Austin Baton continues to try and close the gap to Logan Paisley, trying to put the pressure on as they go for the next lap into that first hairpin. Doing everything he can to close that gap, and it looks like Jensen Brown has started to pull out a little bit of a gap on Daisy Grayson. The time's so even that Daisy sort of struggled to make that gap back and might have just lost a little bit of motivation to push back and fight for that win again. But Austin Baton all over the back now of Logan Paisley, trying to find a way through on that green machine. And every time we come through this camera shot, you can hear, yeah, absolutely erratic crowd pushing on in the hopes that their man, Austin Baton, will take home the podium today. But Logan Paisley doing well to hold on to it. at the moment. A podium would be a good way to start the season, good confidence as well, especially if you're earning it back in a battle. Daisy Grayson has started to close back in a gap. Marta just heard me saying she's losing motivation and wants to prove me wrong with a brilliant move pulled off by Daisy Grayson. Jensen Brown wouldn't not have seen that coming. How about that one, Zach? That was a surprise lunge.
Yeah, I mean, playing to her strengths, absolutely. On the run out of that second chicane, just saw the gap and seized the opportunity there, did Daisy Grayson, and now you can see rooing her on in the crowd. Team members, fans, family members, the like, whatever you want to call them. Then, of course, now chased by Jensen Brown, who's going to try and apply some of that pressure again. These two separated by 16 thousandths of a second in qualifying at just the second step in their mini-moto career. A long road ahead of them, but that's exactly the road that FAB-Racing can give them, that pathway into the RNG Moto4 British Cup. Of course, Daisy Grayson maybe following in the footsteps of Nelly Knuth in the past. The House of Moto highest achieving female rider award could well go the way of Grayson if she keeps up this fantastic form. No, she goes down, drops the bike low side through turn number 4, desperately trying to get herself back on top. Jensen Brown will inherit the lead, and just like that, her sensational pace comes crumbling down with a couple of laps left to go.
Oh, a heartbreaking moment there as we were just singing her prayers on what an amazing move she pulled off to take the lead, but she's back on and looking to get back within that top 5 battle. So not too much time lost, but of course disappointed to lose out on that one, but there's more chances for her to take victory this weekend as we look back to the podium battle between Austin Baton and Logan Paisley. Austin's struggling to find his way through, but still there's plenty of opportunity for him to close that gap. What you find with these mini motos is that they'll randomly find something in a corner and that gap will go from large to small to nothing, as we saw that move earlier from Daisy Grayson. That could easily be possible from Austin Baton if he wants to. And of course that's now a battle for second because Grayson's down in 5th, but Jensen Brown, he won't believe that. He would have thought, I've got some work to do now to keep up with Daisy Grayson, and now he's back out front and he's just got a few corners to go. One more lap after this. And a strong ride from him. Really an even pace and just stayed calm when Daisy went through. Didn't exactly go for it and follow her onto the ground. So he's done a good job here as he just gets through on some back markers. And now, as he comes around the penultimate corner, being wheeled on onto the final lap, making his way through on some more back markers. It has been a really strong race from him to go toe-to-toe with the pole sitter. And if he keeps up like this, we'll come out on top for this one. As Daisy Grayson's already made her way back up into 4th place. A valiant effort despite the crash, staying motivated and staying fast, and proving why she'll be a force to be reckoned with for the next race. And it looks like Logan Paisley and Baton still not much of a battle between them. Looks like the gap has started to stretch out a bit more now, but how about this then? Jensen Brown, only a few corners to go. That yellow and blue machine. A brilliant ride. Kept his cool in the fight. A surprise lunge was sprung on him and he didn't budge. He stayed cool, and here he comes in around the penultimate corner. You can hear the cheers, you can hear them going nuts for him. He is the winner for the AC40 Inter on Saturday at Lydd Kart Circuit. A brilliant ride from him. Logan Paisley takes home second. A good ride from him to fend off Baton in 3rd. A good podium for him as well. And Daisy Grayson, a strong ride to come back to 4th, but she'll ultimately be devastated to lose out on the victory there.
What a ride that was, and well, the crowd cheering him on all the way to the checkered flag. What a ride from Jensen Brown. Missed out on pole position by 16 thousandths of a second, but a cool head, consistency got him to the checkered flag to take the first victory of 2026 in the AC40 Inter class. We'll run you through the results in just a couple of moments' time, but yeah, heartbreak for Grayson is absolute delight for Brown. and what a battle we're setting ourselves up for in 2026.
Yeah, for sure. Daisy Grayson is going to be going all out for that in the next race, trying to beat Jensen Brown this time without any mistakes, but nonetheless, 4th place, a really good result for her. All right then, your race winner, Jensen Brown, with a margin of 3.7 over Paisley. Baton doing well to get on the podium. Grayson 4th. Athasich 5th, Carter 6th, Bailey 7th, Reeson 8th, Richards 9th, and Hitwell 10th. A dramatic race, to say the least then, as we head to the next class on track. All right then, Senior Mini Moto coming up now. The big boys are out to play. As many say, looking quite wacky on the small bikes, but the talent is all there as they get out now for their laps. Lap even before the beginning of the race. This is where we're going to see some, I'd say, a bit more brave moves, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, they're going to be a little bit slower than the little guys, even though they've got, the experience, years of experience. We do get some pretty wacky racing in the Senior Mini Motos, but brilliant racing at that. Matt Birkin comes into this one as the reigning champion. Of course, Keaton Payne, Chris Yeoman, 2nd and 3rd. They not joining us on the grid for today. Nick Bennett, though, joining us at the back end of the field. There's 7-1-1, always a contender at the sharp end of the field. Of course, he took a victory and a couple of podiums over the course of 2024. 2024, Matt Birkin, 8 wins from 14 podiums to seal the championship a couple of years ago. Did the same 12 months ago as well in the 2025 FAB-Racing Championship in the Senior Mini Motos. He's going to be looking to go for 3 on the bounce. There you can see the goal number 1. He lines up on pole position alongside Tom Burt, Andy Whedon from Harvey Jeremy on row 2, Rhys Gentry from Gary Eldridge on row 3, Chris Bain, Nicky Lewis, Rob Gentry, Angel Tajaf and Nick Bennett on the 7-1-1 at the back of the field. The blue and the red leathers with the all-black helmet. That, of course, is your reigning champion, your pole sitter of Matt Birkin. There was around about 3/10 pole margin back to Tom Burt, who keeps him company on the opening row, but anything can happen as soon as that flag drops.
Yeah, hopefully with a slightly more experience these guys have than the AC40 Inters. They're not going to jump the start by miles this time. But yeah, this is going to be a dramatic one to start. This is one of the bravest of the brave if you're going to send a lunge down the inside. Obviously, being adult, everybody's bigger, so a lot less space to make a move. You got to be crafty, you got to be smart, and you got to be fast. Just wait to go now. Everybody making sure their bikes are still going as the marshal moves off the grid. And we are ready. Here we go then. Senior Mini Moto gets underway, and it is a good start from Matt Birkin into lead. Lots of people chopping and changing on the inside into the hairpin. Someone ran out wide there in the back.
Great launch from Matt Birkin, the number 1 now through the second chicane, leads them towards the back end hairpin. The reigning champion picking up exactly where he left off in both 24 and 25. A quick look over the shoulder. He's being chased down by the 68 of Tom Burt, who's retained second position. Momentarily lost to Andy Whedon, nipped the nose up the inside of the opening chicane, but Matt Birkin currently establishing control at the front end of the field.
I mean, he's number 1 for a reason, and he's out there already putting the effort in to make the gap large.
Through the infield section to complete the opening lap, Nick Bennett, you can see the 7-1-1 has made some moves up a good 4 or 5 places, in fact, so charging himself towards the top 5 on what was a 11 bike field. Now the opening lap of 9 in the books for the Senior Mini Motos. Big men on very little bikes. Might look silly, but the racing far from it. Tom Burt reeling in Matt Birkin last time through, I think, of course, closing the gap ever so slightly relative to the leader of Matt Birkin. So it opened up at the start, but Tom Burt over the second half of that lap was able to reel him back in, maybe stay in contention behind that. Tom Burt, Andy Whedon from Harvey Jeremy. Then comes Rhys Gentry, the top 5. Nick Bennett up into 6th from the back of the field. Gary Eldridge, Chris Bain, Rob Gentry. Then comes Nicky Lewis and Angel Tazeth for the 11th rider on the field, currently running with 8 laps left to go, 7 at the line. It's Birkin from Burt. The gap under a second between our 2 leaders.
Yeah, bit of a gap stretching between the podium positions at the moment, but I'm sure that is going to close down as some of them may be getting tired throughout the race. Really pushing on, and a great start though from Matt Birkin, just showing us why he is the champion. A 57.1 to start, and really getting on the move in those fluorescent orange and blue leathers.
At the top end of the circuit now for the number 1, who again just managing the gap. Lydd, not his happy hunting ground. Typically, I mean, he's relatively quick. He had a couple of rounds where he was slightly on the back foot over 2025, round 5 being one of them. But when we were last at Lydd, it was only 48 points scored for Matt Birkin. He wasn't even inside the top 3 in terms of the overall point scores. Thankfully, he bounced back a couple of weekends later to take 2 victories and a 3rd position, did Matt Birkin at the 2nd round of the 2025 season. But obviously, you know, your previous results at a circuit definitely don't necessarily mean a lot. He's got his hand in the air. He's got an issue. The chain's fallen off, I think, for Matt Birkin. So just talking about maybe redemption here at Lydd, it's all come undone for the reigning champion. Tom Burt now will take the lead of the race.
And now from a formerly non-happy hunting ground to a bit of a disappointing hunting ground. A poor way to start the season, and one that's not even his fault. That's got a sting. And now we've got our new leader, Tom Burt, who's only 4/10 off Matt Birkin. So the pace not too bad for him so far, and I'm sure that'll build as the pressure begins to enlarge for the guys behind him, chasing him down. Andy Whedon, will be seeing that and going for it. And then behind him as well, Harvey Jeremy, realising he's within a podium battle, and now commences this podium battle between him and Whedon Head.
So now the mentality of this top 3 completely shifting after Matt Birkin, who every time we see him DNF, it almost certainly is that his chain's fallen off. He's sort something out, I think. 5 laps left to go. But now, yeah, this entire mentality shift happens, because before it is, oh, he's dropping away, but, you know, it's not exactly like it's for a win. You know, we can settle for this position. Now it's a case of you've been given this opportunity. Go for the last 5 laps of this race, because now the opportunity is there. Matt Birkin leading the race. You know, maybe on pure pace no one's really going to catch him, but now they've been given this opportunity, you can see they're going to be fighting tooth and nail for it. Into the double hairpin complex at the back end of the circuit, the 45 all over the rear end. That's Harvey Jeremy on the back of Whedon, both of whom are trying to chase after Tom Burt, but a fight now for 2nd position in race number 1 of the Senior Mini Motos, the opening race of the 2026 season in the Mastermac FAB-Racing British Mini Bike Championship, as Jeremy gets it all sorts of wrong, out of shape on the throttle a little bit too early through the final corner.
Yeah, got a bit too giddy on the throttle there, I think, and went quite out wide into the dirty stuff. So he's got a bit more work to do now to reclose that gap that he earned only a few laps prior. As he chases down Andy Whedon, he's done well there to not lose too much time. He was a bit wide there again, but he's definitely still got a chance at the podium. Tom Burt staying out in the leads pretty strong, and he was faster than both Whedon and Jeremy on that last lap.
So the gap at the front is growing in favour of Tom Burt, the 68 machine. Last time through 57.7, so it's not by much, because Andy Whedon set a 57.8. Of course, if there's any back markers or any troubles for Burt, he could well be feeling the hurt if Whedon can close back in. Next time through, we'll see as the timing page refreshes, another 57.7 for Tom Burt there. Remarkable consistency. Same too for Whedon, who now gets himself into the 57.7. So it's all well and good matching the pace of the leader. You want to go and catch him, of course, for Tom Burt, who we believe could well be having his maiden weekend here at FAB-Racing. What a better way to top it off than your maiden victory in your first go. I mean, surely you just hang up the leathers after that and keep a 100% win rate, wouldn't you?
Yeah, of course. I mean, needed a bit of luck there for it to go wrong for Matt Birkin, but that is just how it goes in racing. Everyone needs luck, and to be honest, luck is a really good shot of it. As you could see, Matt Birkin there still having his issues in the middle of the track. But yeah, Tom Burt, what a brilliant way it would be to take home the victory on his debut. But Andy Whedon is determined to close that gap. It doesn't look like he's able to pull it in with only 2 laps left. It doesn't look like Whedon has got enough time on his hands to close that gap unless something goes really wrong. As you can see there, Birkin back out on circuit into 8th.
Penultimate lap of the race now. Tom Burt leading after inheriting it from Matt Birkin, who nicely gets out of the way from him. A valiant effort though from Matt Birkin, and again, the mentality of a championship, right? You've had the poor luck, your chains come off, you pulled over, and immediately down on his knees, trying to fix things, desperately trying to get himself back into the race, because now, if he finishes 8th, that's still a decent chunk of points. I believe off the top of my head it's about, upwards of 10 points, which minimises the gap in the championship, which of course is, when you're coming into this as the reigning champion, looking to go for 3 in a row, that's the mentality that you need to have. Straight away, trying to face adversity head on. That's exactly what he's done if he's able to pick up some good points. Final lap of the race, though, for Tom Burt, to, like we say, maiden race here at FAB-Racing, and what a welcome to the paddock this could well be. Andy Whedon has tried desperately to hang with him. Jeremy dropping off the back ever so slightly as well. A big shout out to Nick Bennett, the 711, climbing from 11th, now into 4th position as well. So, half a lap left to go for Tom Burt. And what a ride that it has been for the 68. Started his first race on the front row alongside the reigning champion. The pressure absolutely on for the 68. And now into the hairpin complex for the final time. He's keeping it tidy. And this, a victory to remember, a race to remember. Welcome to the FAB-Racing paddock. Tom Burt take a bow through the final corner. The checker flag awaits his arrival, and for the first race in 2026, it's victory for Tom Burt in senior mini motos. Andy Whedon and Jeremy will complete the top 3 after 9 hard, grueling laps of racing. And well, he can breathe a sigh of relief now for what maybe was only going to be 2nd position. He's held his nerve, he's maximised his opportunities, and he's taken victory after 9 laps of racing at Lydd. Yeah, and as you said, just might as well hang up the leathers now and keep a hold of that 100% success rate. Or do it again tomorrow. Either one. Simple as that, really. Just go and win. Great ride from Tom Burt to bring it home. Good stuff. You can see from the dark red leathers there, and I'm sure we'll be seeing his face for many races to come. There you can see Jamie King and Chris Wells there. They'll be taken to the track in about an hour's time or so. Jamie King, a 4-time champion here at FAB-Racing. But let's run you through the results of senior mini motos. Tom Burt takes victory in the first race of the season. Whedon from Jeremy, the top 3, with Bennett and Gentry rounding out the top 5. Then comes Gary Eldridge, Bain, Birkin completing the top 8. A valiant effort from the reigning champion to consolidate some points and limit the damage from Gentry and Lewis at the top 10 in what was an 11-rider field. It was then behind that the would have been, well, only 10 riders took to the start. 11 were entered, but 10 took to the start, so we've lost on one at some point over the course of that one. But a fantastic ride there from Tom Burt. He takes the first victory in the Senior Moto 2026 season here at FAB-Racing.
All right, then, here we are then. It is time for the Mini GP50R race. It is 12 laps here. And the amount of drama we've just had in the past 2 races, it looks like we've got some riders feeling nice and motivated, dancing on the bikes and getting ready to go out.
So taken to the start of this one, Emilio Pereira, El Toro, the 31, will start on pole position alongside Jensen Knowles on the front row. Tommy Williams, the 51, as you can see there, has climbed through the ranks of Minimoto Machinery. And, well, he'll start this one third position alongside Jensen Cedras, the number 2, again, just alongside the all-blue machine of the 51. Now, Emilio Pereira. We spoke about him a little bit early on when we were talking about the AC40 rookies class. His titanic battle with Nelly Nuth. He went on to win a British Championship that year as well, elsewhere from FAB. He's a very accomplished rider, is Emilio Pereira, and again, a very continuous journey, very accelerated journey. He's not gone through rookies into pros, done a couple of years in each. He's really hit the ground running, gone bosh, all the way up through the ranks. Now, of course, on this bigger geared machinery is Emilio Pereira. And into 2026 takes the first pole position of the season, and by no mean margin either, 4/10 clear of Jensen Knowles.
Yeah, that'll be a good booster going into this one. And it will be a safe reminder when he's out in front, if he gets a good start, that he can keep that in his head and stay calm. He knows he's got that pace over the others, over one lap, but can he do it over the race? That is the ultimate question. What's his race pace looking like? Because he's got the bullet behind him on the grid, Jensen Knowles, and he'll be looking to fire off the line like a bullet into turn 1 and possibly get up the inside.
What's faster, a bull or a bullet? Pereira or Knowles? Who do you think?
Well, we'll have to see down in turn 1.
Tommy Williams as well, the 51. Talking about Emilio Pereira's career in rookies, on the grid in that year as well, was both Jensen Cedras and Tommy Williams. Speaking of them, they finished 3rd and 4th in that respective season behind Nelly Nuth and Emilio Pereira. Tommy Williams took a victory the final race of the season when we took to Ella Park for the second time across the season. He also took 16 podiums, which was actually more than both Nelly Nuth and Emilio Pereira, which of course an incredible effort from Tommy Williams, showcasing his consistency. And in the end, we speak about Nuth and Pereira and their valiant battle over the course of the 21 races. Tommy Williams that same year was only 18 points off. So talk about a rider who could well take the fight to Pereira in 2026. Tommy Williams absolutely is in that conversation.
Yeah, he's going to be motivated to get involved in this one.
Is that Lucy Curtis potentially? Bradley Curtis's sister, Moto 4 rider in 2026, giving us a hand here at Fab Racing. Joined us in the commentary box at Rowra 2 years ago as well, with Daisy Polden, I think it was. My memory trying to serve me correctly. Of course, the test for the RNG Moto 4 British Cup a week ago at Donington Park. Of course, a fantastic circuit, a fantastic venue as well. So those guys will be taken to the grid for that in 2026, joined by the likes of Harrison Day, who of course was the 70 British champion of last year. A lot of excitement in the world of junior moto riding in 2026.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of riders have gone straight on to the Moto 4 British Cup and just been absolutely fantastic, and Harrison Day was definitely no slouch in that situation. He was all over the place and all in that top 5. It just was so impressive. Top 3 on day 2 from him, and a shout out to him because I know he's watching. And good luck for his season in the Moto 4 British Cup, and good luck to all the riders in the Moto 4 British Cup as we get ready then for Mini GP 50R.
Moment away until we get this one on circuit for the Mini GP 50R class. Hopefully it won't be too much longer. Big hello and a welcome to everyone joining us here in 2026, the first round of 7 this year. Make sure, of course, you like, follow, subscribe. Let us know who you're cheering on for, where you're watching from, and what you're most looking forward about in 2026. Myself, Zach Sweeney, Ronnie Davis alongside me in the commentary box. Of course, coverage brought to you by Motorsport Media and Motorsport Radio. 7 rounds this season. We've got, of course, this weekend at Lydd, Clay Pigeon, Hooton Park, Ella Park, before we go to Rowra, Three Sisters and Clandau to round out the 7 rounds, on top of the secret special event that we can't talk too much about, but keep an eager eye on that over the coming weeks. Quite exciting, of course, in the world of mini motor racing. Probably, arguably, maybe one of the biggest events in the world coming up in 2026. But we can't say. We're sworn to secrecy, so these guys are going to have to follow along on all of the FAB-Racing socials. But, looking at the calendar we've got ahead of us, any, one that sort of grabs your eye, anyone you're particularly looking forward to?
To be honest, I'm not all that sure. I've never been to any of these circuits on this calendar, so it's all a bit of a new experience, and whichever one has the best racing, and so far Lydd is doing well to compete for that one.
It is indeed. I mean, we look at the likes of Clay Pigeon, which is a very fast circuit, similar to that of Lydd, some riders' favourite. Houghton Park, which of course is tight and twisty and technical. Ella Park, the undulating nature of that sort of middle sector. As you go up over the crest into the chicane, Jamie King's home circuit, of course, down in Beccles. Rower, of course, nestled in the quarry in the Lake District, and a brilliant circuit with the hairpins, with that run into Sunny Bend. I mean, it's fantastic. Same with Three Sisters, that run up the hill through the chase, then downhill. The venues that we've got this year, you know, you'll visit them. They're pretty good, all right? You'll have to take my word for it for now, but trust me, they'll be pretty decent. Of course, a big thank you to all of our marshals and the roaming marshals that we've got, parents and team members jumping their way onto circuit as well to give their assistance. Big shout out to the medical crew as well for their efforts this weekend. We genuinely couldn't go racing without them. And, of course, to all of the team members at FAB-Racing, again, for their efforts in 2026. We couldn't do it without them. They're very important, the backbone of the series, of course, the series that has given the platform for so many young riders to propel their way through the ranks over the years, over the last countless years, before some of the riders on the grid were even alive themselves. Next up, of course, will be the Mini GP 50R class. As we've touched on, Emilio Pereira will start alongside Jensen Knowles on the front row of the grid. And again, even though the weather's not really been playing ball, the sun coming out a little bit out on circuit. The racing has been very heated, even if the circuit isn't.
Yeah, the sun is starting to come out now, and thankfully no rain throughout, so we'll have some undisturbed racing weather-wise for the rest of the day, unless my commentator's curse transcends into the skies.
Don't get me started on the commentator's curse. You'll learn this very quickly. I think it's not real. I'll just leave it at that. You can see the sun coming out. We can actually see shadows on the circuit. Remarkable. We wouldn't have said that 2 hours ago. Still a little bit windy, but the sun's coming out to play, which is nice.
If it was anything like yesterday, then we're in for some good weather heading for racing.
There is the 31, Emilio Pereira, El Toro, as he dubs himself. Of course, he's taken that step up onto the geared bikes, onto the grid of, well, a very talented rostrum. Of course, if you're looking at this and you've got an Ovali or a Metrica, you can get yourself into the Mini GP 50R category. It's that mixture of manufacturers. You can see them lined up against each other there with Emilio Pereira and Jensen Knowles, El Toro versus the Bullets, as we get the sort of confirmation. They'll get 2 sighting laps, 2 warm-up laps to the grid, and then we'll get this one underway for the Mini GP 50R class. 12 laps of racing, so the longest one yet. And, with that, some intense action. Of course, a lot faster than mini motos, these geared bikes. That poses its own challenge around such a fast and flowing circuit.
Yeah, exactly. What we saw from those smaller bikes is that they require a lot more corner speed to make their way around the circuit fast, whereas these bikes are a little bit bigger, so you can almost stop it in the middle of the corner and get the drive out, make more of a V shape. And you hear that talked about a lot in big bike racing, and it transcends into this, because we're on such a small circuit for big bikes, let's say. As they're just going around their first of 2 laps.
What sort of the formation lap? What is the benefit from this? The extra formation lap. What can they do? Of course, you've got tyre temperatures, brake temperatures, but maybe a bit of mental preparation going into the minds of these young riders.
Yeah, for sure. They were waiting for quite a while there due to the delay, so they would have been sat there a little bit, just maybe their heads getting a little bit fogged, thinking too much about the race and overthinking it, really. And they'll be going around on this first lap, sort of just being really, really careful with all their inputs, sort of corner by corner, bit by bit, as you would in a race, but often it happens too much, and especially when there's a delay, you've got more time to think about how it could go wrong, just as much as how it could go right. So this extra lap is just to help them get a little bit more comfortable before they go out shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow, and bringing us some brilliant racing.
Indeed. So for these riders, it means everything to them. It's their life, it's what they've dedicated themselves to. And for Emilio Pereira, The pressure is on. Of course, the geared bikes, you've got to get that clutch bike point right. They're going for another sighting lap as well. So 3 sighting laps in total before they line themselves up on the grid. But again, that start, right, it's a short run towards the opening chicane. And we've seen a couple of times those on the outside of the front row can actually swoop their way the long way through. So if you're starting from pole position, in the case of Emilio Pereira, you've got to nail that. You've got to get your revs right. You've got to get that clutch right. And it's maybe something that's, when you take that step up from mini motos into those geared bikes, something that some people might see as a bit of an oversight. You focus so much on the raw lap time that you also need to dedicate some time to nailing your starts as well.
Yeah, so far we've been talking about 2 types of talents, and that's keeping consistent and finding your way through a track like this. But there's a third one, and that's making sure you are in that flow state and everything goes as planned. With the smaller bikes, you haven't got to worry about as much. But when you get into this class, there's so much more to think about. This is where it becomes real. You're a motorbike racer, and you've got to ride like one. So no room for error if you want to win this race today.
Rolling their way up to the start-finish line, Jensen Cedras pulling in the number 2, qualified just over a second off pole position from Emilio Pereira, whose lap time was phenomenal. We'll have to wait and see whether that translates into pure race pace. The 31, you can see the bright blue on the black background. There's metric at 50. Eagerly anticipating the start of this race. He's ready to go. He's a rider that has got an incredible level of confidence, has Emilio. Well, what's going to win out on that race towards 10 of 1? Is it the bull? Is it the bullet? Flag up, flag down, we go racing. And what a launch that was from Jensen Knowles, who soars his way up into the race lead through the chicane, but he gets a bit wobbly. So Emilio Pereira straight back through to take the lead of the race in towards the second chicane, and Tommy Williams settling in just in front of the 93 of Preston Baker, who's rocketed his way up from 6th now into 4th position. Emilio Pereira a bit shaky of a start. Jensen Knowles got the measure, but a quick mistake from him allowed El Toro to get himself back in front.
Yeah, and that's exactly what that extra time waiting for the race to start did to Jensen Knowles. He really got away well, and it got into his head. He was like, I can do this, we can get through. And that little lapse of judgment can sometimes cost you a race, and he did very well to stay on it there. And he's already back in the zone and back challenging for the victory.
Lap 1 in the books, and Emilio Pereira leads Jensen Knowles. Not by much, though, as Tommy Williams is keeping tabs with our 2 leaders. 12 laps of racing, so about 10 and a half left to go as they work their way through the second chicane. You can see the Union Jack liveried Ovali of Jensen Knowles, the front row start, and that quick mistake, and this is it, right? At such a young age, to get that reset, to have made that mistake, to have lost that lead, and now be straight back onto the rear wheel of Emilio Pereira. Incredibly impressive from Jensen Knowles.
Yeah, exactly. It's precisely what I said earlier. It's being able to get in that headspace because there's so much more to think about. And this being one of them, as Jensen Knowles goes through into the penultimate corner. A good move, and he might just find Pereira up the inside. He thought about it there, but Knowles was able to hold it to the apex and not let him through. This is where he had that error, and he's got through there just fine. And that shows you the mentality that they've got to build. You're coming to a corner where you nearly just threw it down the road, and you're all good to push it as much as you can through there on the next time round to maintain the lead. And that's exactly what he's done here.
Yeah, nicely done from Jensen Knowles there. Emilio Pereira, though, not wasting any time to apply some more pressure, even looking in places that, he's not intending to go for a move, just putting his front wheel in, showing that Jensen Knowles, I'm not going anywhere. I fully intend to stay with you. This run towards the final corner, where a couple of years ago Travis Shaw would take the first victory in the Mini GP 70 Championship, his first of 5 victories in 2024. It definitely showcases that an overtake can be done. We've got Preston Baker, the 93, under a little bit of pressure as it stands, coming through the first couple of chicanes. Tommy Williams there as well, trying to stay on tabs with our 2 leaders as they negotiate, I think, a little bit of lap traffic in the form potentially of Emerson Oakley or Oliver Cheeseman. But you can hear the wind on the camera, and again, you're very exposed on the bike. That wind is going to be playing a factor for these very light young riders.
Yeah, 100%, but it won't make as much of a difference as we saw earlier with the Mini Moto, as these bikes are heavier, which allows these riders to sacrifice a bit of corner speed to brake later and make almost a V-shape out of the corner. But you have to be nice and consistent through those last two corners, and that's what this top two are doing very well right now. They've dropped the man in third, Preston Baker, who's just actually made his way through on Tommy Williams. So something happened to Tommy Williams there, maybe a moment, because he was right on this battle for the victory all of a lap ago. And now they're going to be working to catch, as you can see, that shiny blue showy of Preston Baker in third place now. Quite reminiscent of Dixon's special helmet for 2024 at Silverstone, in which of course he won that race, which is what Preston Baker will be looking to do here in fine fashion. He's done well to get up there into third, and he's going to look now to chase down Pereira and Knowles with 6 laps to go.
Indeed so. Jensen Knowles and Emilio Pereira there running away a little bit. There you can see the two of them chasing after some lap traffic. Now Pereira doing a really good job, similar to what Knowles did to Pereira, which was just ride on that rear wheel, apply that pressure, stay right there and pounce on the mistake. We've now got 3 bikes in contention for the final place on this podium. It's Baker from Williams, and then behind that comes Bo Morris in 5th position, bridging a bit of a gap back to Joey Athisic. Then comes Jensen Cedras, Josh Perkins, Oscar McAllister and Daniel Tanton, the top 10. Halfway through this race, nearly, with 6 left to go, 5 at the line, as Tommy Williams and Preston Baker both dart to the inside of the traffic. The 51 not allowing him to get away. Bo Morris gets caught up a little bit, but back to the sharp end. Jensen Knowles still feeling the pressure from Emilio Pereira. Right now it's the bullet in front of El Toro, but 5 laps left to go, and with racing as close as this, anything can happen in the final half of the race.
Exactly, they almost matched each other on the previous lap, so this is where Pereira really has to show his work ethic, how he can get along and keep in his brain that he can still win this race. That lap time was so close that there was nothing in it, and he has to try and dig deep and find something where he can pass Knowles with 5 laps left. No, sorry, 4 now, and 4 more for Pereira to find his way into the lead. All of them, the meanwhile, looks like they're starting to leave behind Preston Baker, who's dropped a good gap now to Tommy Williams in 4th, who might just be looking to make a bit of a resurgence in the later stages of the race, which we are now approaching. But it looks like Jensen Knowles is pulling a little bit more of a gap, maybe just breaking Emilio Pereira's spirits just a little as they head into the penultimate corner. That Union Jack liveried Ovale looking absolutely fantastic as it comes around the last corner towards some lap riders. The Bullet doing well here for race 1 this season, as we can now see Williams under pressure from Morris, the number 57, the white machine there, following along and trying to find a move. 3 laps he's got to defend that position, Tommy. And of course, anything could go any way here, especially in motorbike racing, and that's why it's the best. Camera panned away there for a second. I thought we had something to scream over. All right then, 2 laps to go, and here is Tommy Williams coming up to some traffic, so that's going to make Bo Morris's job of reclaiming that 4th a little bit harder as he chases down the lap riders. And around the outside, oh, that was sketchy. Managed to stay on it though and get through nice and cleanly.
Yeah, that's Bo Morris, who, flirting with danger a little bit around the outside of a back marker, but nonetheless keeping it clean. Final lap for the leaders next time by, just awaiting their arrival on the start-finish straight. Jensen Knowles able to bridge a slight bit of a gap back to Emilio Pereira. Final lap of the race, and throwing the bike in through that opening chicane from Emilio Pereira, giving it absolutely everything to fend off or chase after the Ovale just in front of him. Jensen Knowles still under pressure, but with each corner that passes is one less opportunity. Pereira trying to find the space to the inside of the hairpin. Let's find out as they make their way through the undulating sweepers for the final time. Jensen Knowles, can he hang on?
Yeah, Pereira did a 43.7 on that last lap, so he's got a new resurgence of pace and motivation to try and make it through. Oh, Knowles, he nearly goes into the back of him there, and he's got 2 corners to go to make something magical. He gets a good run through the penultimate corner, tries to cut it under. It's going to be the run to the line. Who's it going to be? It's Knowles who takes it, despite the efforts of Pereira. A brilliant lap there on the penultimate lap to take a 43.7, and a valiant effort as he nearly got Jensen Knowles to the line. That was, wow, what a finish there. As Preston Baker comes home for third, he'll be happy with that one after making his way through on Tommy Williams at the halfway point.
Oh, what a race between the pair of them. Great respect shown as well. I think Pereira just got a little bit held up and stalled despite the run off the sweepers, as we've got a rider down at the final corner, up on 2 feet though, which of course is good to see. But on their parade lap in as well, you said Preston Baker hang on from Tommy Williams. The two of those, the 93 and the 51, giving each other a brilliant battle as well all the way through the opening Mini GP 50R race of 2026. But Jensen Knowles take a bow, holding off Pereira, who again, it was that sort of immovable object versus an unstoppable force in the form of Pereira, and we'll run you through the results in just a couple of moments time. But championship lead going the way of Jensen Knowles, who won by just over a tenth of a second. Emilio Pereira, Preston Baker, the top 3 from Tommy Williams and Bo Morris, Joey Atasich from Josh Perkins, Daniel Tanson, Oscar McAllister and Saxby rounding out the top 10 after 12 laps of racing action for Mini GP 50R. Of course, next up we'll be taking to the Mini GP 70s, but what a drive that was from Jensen Knowles.
All right, then it's time to get rolling for Mini GP 70. Hopefully it is just as exciting as that race was. That got the blood pumping and the crowd shouting, because that was an absolutely fantastic run to the line between Knowles and Pereira. And even then, how incredible that is from Pereira to stay in that mentality and do a 43.6 on the last lap, the fastest lap of the race on the last lap, despite the pressure of the race victory being possible. But now on to the GP 70s. Bigger bikes, the Premier class here at FAB. Harrison Day, as I mentioned earlier, will be watching this one as the reigning champion, and will be judging the performances of these young riders as if a teacher grading a paper. He knows how to get it done here at Lydd. Won here last year.
Yeah, good battle between Harrison Day and Frankie Watson in the opening round. Frankie Watson actually was the highest point scorer of anyone at round number 5 of the championship. Then went on to do a triple victory at the final round of 2025. Frankie Watson, who has been remarkable over the 50s, did the double as well, 50s and 70s for some rounds in 2024. There you can see him lined up, the toothless liveried helmet, and obviously on his bike as well. Of course, hopefully he's going to be as fast as a Night Fury around Lydd. He'll start this one from pole position. The gap between himself and Bradley Curtis, who he shares the front row with, just 44 thousandths of a second. Mason Frederick and Sebastian Gazlavsky, the reigning 50 and 50R champion, starts from P4, with Kellen Ratcliffe and Max Johnson sharing row 3. Daisy Polden from Nicholas Dunwoody from Boyan Blaszewski, and Maxwell Keats, Rex Austin and Harry James round out the 12-rider field for the Premier class and the highest step in Mini Moto riding before that feeder in towards the RNG Moto 4 British Cup that we've seen the likes of Harrison Day, Sullivan Mounsey, the likes all work their way through and succeed in as well. That run to the line, of course, to get themselves onto the grid, and Frankie Watson feeling the pressure for the first time in 2026, but pulling himself into the pit lane.
Oh dear. Well, I was just about to say how he could be one to be reckoned with, but that is a real shame. Hopefully they get it sorted and back out on track. As they try to figure out the issue. But meanwhile, we'll talk about Mason Frederick starting 4th on the grid. No, sorry, 3rd. That was a really good job from him. I spoke to him earlier. he's nice and confident. This is his only race because he won't be around tomorrow. Away in Spain, he told us. Yeah. All right, then. It is time for the main event. The GP70 class about to get underway. And we are go. It is a brilliant start. Away from the line. Taking the lead is Sebastian Gaslowski.
Yeah, great launch there from Gaslowski, who comes into the opening season, his first season on the 70 after winning both the 50 and the 50R category in 2025. Got the launch on Bradley Curtis, of course, Frankie Watson in the pole position, grid space clear. Gaslowski pouncing at that opportunity. Mason Frederick, not the best of starts, but initially got alongside the 71, then Super Seb around the outside to take the lead of the race and to lead the opening lap by quite some margin. He'll be chased after, though, by the 71 of Bradley Curtis, whose sister, of course, we mentioned briefly, helping out as a marshal before her season in Moto 4 British Cup. Under a bit of pressure, though, Bradley Curtis a bit squiggly as Mason Frederick tries to apply some of that pressure. He's got one opportunity in Fab this weekend before his trip to Spain, and, he wants to make the most of it. Currently in P3, but chasing after P2.
Yeah, a bit of a moment there for Bradley Curtis as he made his way into the chicane. But it looks like he's got over it and continuing to push on to catch Gaslowski. But he's got Frederick right behind him, putting on the pressure. A strong performance, and he is going to want to make it count, as you said, Zach, before he goes away. One race for him, one chance to make it work.
Almost Eminem lyrics. One shot, one opportunity. Very close. 10 laps left to go. Gaslowski from Curtis, Frederick, Ratcliffe and Daisy Pold in the top 5 as they run. You can see the 96 of Caelan Ratcliffe, who was mighty on the mini motos a couple of years ago, fighting the likes of Mason Frederick and Rex Austin, the three of them taking it to the wire in pros in 2024. Now, of course, all of them taking that step up onto the bigger the geared bikes into this category. And Ratcliffe currently P4 trying to fend off Daisy Pold, and it's very busy at the back end of the top 10, though. You can see about 5 bikes all nose to tail as they negotiate their way through the squiggles and that chase towards the final corner, trying to stay on tabs as well and keep each other company with plenty of laps still to go in this race. Gaslowski versus Curtis. We'll keep an eye on that gap as well as the 991. That, of course, is Rex Austin. He started this race from P11. He's climbed his way up now into what will be 7th position and fighting and trying to fend off some very well-established riders in this category. It's never going to be easy. There's no such thing as an easy ride in the Mini GP70s.
No, 100%. It is, of course, the main class. So these guys out there trying to get the eyes on them from the RNG Moto 4 British Cup and beyond that to Moto Junior and even the Red Bull rookies, because ultimately it is the top class. And we saw Harrison Day come from here all the way to the Moto 4 British Cup, and look what he's doing. That's another example, and many as well. Henry Mack being another, going up to the Moto 4 British Cup this year, and one of them putting his CV on the table and doing a good job of it. Sebastian Gaslowski out in the lead. Mason Frederick still looking strong there, still motivated to catch Bradley Curtis with the fastest lap, 41.5, looking strong as he sets up the run out of the last corner. Looks like they're starting to catch Gaslowski now.
Yeah, last time through, 4/10 in favour of Bradley Curtis. A 42.134 for Gaslowski, a 41.7 for Bradley Curtis. Mason Frederick staying with him as well. And I think Frederick, probably could mount some pressure onto Bradley Curtis, but opting not to. He knows there's a bigger objective to go and get. There's a bit of a wiggle on the throttle as he exits the hairpin, but the pair of them chasing after Gaslowski, whose brilliant start has given him, not an easy ride for the first few laps, but it just meant that he's not really under too much pressure. He can focus, he can get into his rhythm. And now with 6 laps left to go, the second half of this race, now the pressure is going to begin to mount for Gaslowski, who, like I say, 2 championships over 2026, 2025 into 2026. He wants to go and get that premier class victory, and right now is in prime position to go and do so. Have to say, though, the last couple of years for Bradley Curtis, it's just been step of improvement upon step of improvement, and now fighting at the sharp end against 2 incredible riders in the form of Gaslowski and Frederick, who's dropped off the back of this 1v1 now. It's turning into Gaslowski in the not too distant future will be having to look over his shoulder and maybe defend from the charging 71.
Yeah, they say it all the time, especially when the racing gets close. It's easier to lead than it is to defend. No, attack, sorry. And I got my words mixed up there, because a really big moment for Bradley Curtis is he was trying to contend for the lead going into the penultimate corner, had a bit of a front end moment, asking a little bit too much of the front brake maybe to try and catch Gaslowski. But don't worry, Bradley, you've got plenty of time left. 5 laps to go, and the wind is definitely not going to be playing ball in this race.
Opening up the squiggles as they negotiate this long left-hand horseshoe back onto the back straight, and that chase towards the final corner. Bradley Curtis knows he's strong here. He knows he can be good on the brakes. Change for the lead as Bradley Curtis goes down the inside of Sebastian Gaslowski. Nicely done. Gaslowski settles back into the slipstream though, and will try and fire one back down the inside of the chicane. But Curtis sweeps his way through, takes the lead of the race with 4 to go.
He got it right that time and made sure it worked. He got it done, and we thought he might have just ran wide there and left a gap back open for Gaslowski to go through at the last corner, but he did a brilliant job to pull it back to the apex and make it work. And now, as I was trying to say a few laps before, he's got the harder job, as many motorcycle racers say, of leading when the battle is this close. You have no idea what they're doing behind you. You haven't got rear view mirrors, whereas the person behind you can see where you're strong and make a move whenever they want. It's their ball. And now they come down the straight, 3 laps to go, and into the hairpin, throwing the bikes over, quick through that chicane. And Gaslowski doing everything he can to stick on the back of Bradley Curtis. Mason Fedrick still just keeping consistent, started to drop back off this top 2, but he's still sticking in there. If one thing goes wrong, one moment of contact between Gaslowski and Curtis, and he'll be right there, back in the fight.
He will be indeed. 3 laps left to go, 2 at the line. Curtis versus Gaslowski. Have to say, impressed by Sebastian here. He might have a run into the final corner, a bit too far back, but showing his nose, and again applying that pressure, running it deep, spooning off at the corner, running it in deep, biting back for that second apex, and again that look into that chicane. He does get that run off the final corner, and that could be his weapon in his arsenal. Bit of lap traffic they might have to contend with as well, with a lap and a half left to go. Gaslowski though, got to be careful not to override. He doesn't want to push too hard, make mistakes, become sloppy and allow Curtis to build a bit of a gap. Like I was saying though, very impressive that despite the fact that Curtis rode onto the back of him, Gaslowski is still there and still applying that pressure.
Yeah, along with the pressure building, because the race coming to an end, it's all for the win here for the first race. And here comes Gaslowski looking for a move, trying to repeat what Curtis did to him. Only a couple laps to go, and it is the last lap time. And if they catch these lap riders, then it is almost like a life or death situation, win or lose, because that can make all the differences. Those split second decisions to go right or left, around the outside or up the inside of a lap rider, as Gaslowski tries to go for a more wider line to get through on Curtis, doing everything he can as they approach these back markers. This will make the race if they manage to catch these two. The tension building for them both, and they know it is going to be intense. Here comes Gaslowski. He's going to look for a move. They try to go up the inside of a lap rider as well. That's going to get intense. Curtis goes through, and I think, a big moment there for Gaslowski. Whoa, he's got to the line just about on 2 wheels. And to be honest, at this point, he's probably just going to be glad he kept second place. But a brilliant ride from Bradley Curtis to hold off Gaslowski and take the win in the end.
Yeah, the pressure was building there as Gaslowski pulls over to the right-hand side, probably breathing a big sigh of relief there. Probably quite frustrated, you would imagine, losing that one. It's not an easy pill to swallow by any means, especially when it was right there. And you're playing that in hindsight. Should I have defended the final corner? Should I have done this? Should I have done that? And when you've got hindsight, everyone is going to make the right decision in that clinical moment. And he didn't ride badly by any means. It's just that him and Bradley Curtis so evenly matched, rising to that occasion. The lap traffic, maybe with an extra lap, Gaslowski would have got him. but nothing can be taken away from Bradley Curtis. Nothing can be taken away from Sebastian Gazlowski. Two formidable riders, and I'm looking forward to their rivalry over the course of 2026. The 71 would hang on to victory from Gazlowski and Mason Federick, who completes the podium. Kellen Ratcliffe from Daisy Polden, she completes the top 5. From Johnson Dunwoody, Rex Austin from Keats, and James, the top 10 after 12 incredible laps of racing action. And again, that sets the stage for the Premier class of Fab Racing.
Yeah, good ride as well from Kellen Ratcliffe to grab 4th. Yeah, more races coming your way. Just a few more left for today, but don't forget all the action coming back your way tomorrow, where everybody will get a second bite of the cherry. And I'll tell you who wants another bite of the cherry: Sebastian Gazlowski. All right then, coming up now, it is time for Pit Bike 140 class. And this is where things get very different to what we've seen so far. We've seen mini motos, we've seen mini bikes. Now we move on to Supermoto modified dirt bikes. Well, pit bikes really, as they're known, Pit Bike 140 class. This is where it completely flips on its head. The racing ethic sort of changes in the way you ride the bike, especially on corner entry. Might see some sideways action. Well, Zach, you've been commentating this before. What do you think of the ones to watch for this one?
Definitely not Jamie King. He can get gone. No, he's a rapid rider. He's starting this one P3. He's a multiple-time champion, Jamie King. Home circuit of Ella Park, where he narrowly missed out on victory back in 2024 against Lucas Brown. His home circuit, and looking to end what was at the time a 3-year win drought. In 2024, he went on to win the championship, taking 2 victories along the way. Last year, runner-up to Harrison Quincy, who starts alongside Chris Wells, who, by the way, again, a previous champion of the Pit Bike 140 category. 1, 2 and 3, all previous champions of the Pit Bike 140 class, and well, that just sets the stage for a phenomenal battle. Chris Wells and Harrison Quincy will share row 1, from Jamie King and Ben Simpson on row 2. Simon Gates and Bailey Lawrence share the 3rd row, with the triple 3 of Perry Thompson in 7th. Kieran Grimes from 8th, Daniel Cliff and Stephen Humphreys, the top 10. Bradley Ferreira, Luke Herstein from Matthew Rayland, Jake Turnbull, Tom Wise, the top 15 from Dan Gilbert in P16. They're all lined themselves up all the way back to Roman Ratcliffe in P20 and awaiting the point to the flag, just lining themselves up, awaiting the arrival of Lee Clowes as well to set them underway. There you can see Jamie King in the all-blue Pit Bike Sonic, as his influencer name suggests. He's a rapid rider, does a lot of things now racing in the BMC on a Kawasaki Ninja. We spoke to him about that just a moment ago. Chris Wells, though, I mean, always, no matter what he's racing, whenever he turns up, sometimes he's, been busy and has been away at some rounds, but as soon as he's on circuit, he's at the front. Harrison Quincy as well, of course, reigning champion, took a number of clean sweeps over a weekend, particularly round number 5. He did 3 victories on the bounce, and it's victories like that, consistency like that, that makes a champion. Between the 3 of them, well, upwards of 10 pit bike championships between Jamie King, Chris Wells and Harrison Quincy, the front 3. There's Lee Clowes speed walking her way to the front of the field to get this race underway. 12 laps ahead of us, with Chris Wells and Harrison Quincy on the front row. Pit Bike Sonic, Jamie King, the 76 from Ben Simpson, just in behind that as well. Pit Bike 140, the Mastermac FAB-Racing British Minibike Championship. The flag drops and we go racing. Jamie King very eager to get this one underway, as Harrison Quincy will try to apply that pressure to Chris Wells, sweeping around the outside of that Simon Gates or Ben Simpson. Pit Bike Sonic drops to 4th position. Now as we run towards the second chicane, Chris Wells doing exactly what you'd expect from the 62. He retains the lead from the reigning champion.
A dramatic start there, quite a few people getting in a bit of a kerfuffle at the first hairpin, and Jamie King being one of them jump-started and then having a bit of a moment, I saw. So he's got some work to do now if he wants to catch back up to Chris Wells. As Chris Wells continues to lead from Harrison Quincy.
Yeah, the commentators.
Around the last corner. And they head into the hairpin. As I said, the entry making all the difference. Yeah, Harrison Quincy into the lead from Sorry, I had a bit of a moment there on the timing. But yeah, Chris Wells in the lead from Harrison Quincy and Ben Simpson. Jamie King into fourth, trying to make up for that interesting start, to say the least. And behind him, Simon Gates chasing down the top four.
Kept intense there. You can see the eyes of, I think it's Shadow on his helmet and not Sonic, which doesn't really play to his identity, but nonetheless, Pit Bike Sonic chasing after them. A very nice helmet fielded for 2026. Message from Race Control coming in. We'll confirm as to what that message is. Start under investigation, presumably, for Jamie King, probably taking a look at him as he contests now for second position. Chasing after Harrison Quincy, Ben Simpson in front of him as well. As Jamie King has had a horrific start to this race, but now trying to apply some of that pressure into the hairpin. Meanwhile, Chris Wells, again, exactly what you'd expect. He's bridged a nice gap, knocking on the door of 2 seconds as Jamie King tries to dart one to the inside of the final sweeper.
Yeah, brilliant start from Chris to do a 44.7 already, dropping a good gap of 1.8 to Harrison behind him, and Ben Simpson hanging on tight there as here comes Jamie King looking for the inside into the penultimate corner, doesn't quite find it. It's hard to miss him with that bright blue and red livery. But one thing that was missed was the start, unfortunately, for Jamie King.
Brutal. It didn't take you very long to get the message, get the memo on the Jamie King slander. No, he's phenomenal. Of course, a multiple-time champion and proving that out on circuit. Currently on the back end of Lawrence and Gates for 4th, 5th and 6th position. The 76 of Jamie King. So you can see the Yellow Park logo on the bottom of his leathers. That's his home circuit. He'll be looking forward to round number 4 of the 7 that we've got for Fab Racing in 2026. And now ducked up behind the handlebars, pulls out to the right-hand side, gets the move done before the braking zone of the corner. Does Jamie King, but Lawrence tries to go around the outside, is going to have the agility, gets the power down as well, as they'll drag race towards the opening chicane. Jamie King fending that off, and up now into 5th position, but still a long way off where he'd expect to be.
Yeah, that was really brave from Bailey Lawrence to try and hang it around the outside of Jamie King. A valiant effort, which unfortunately didn't pay off, but he's definitely kept in the fight, and he's ready to possibly do it again if it works.
Look at this drive there off the hairpin, looks to the inside. He's very strong on corner exit and has that straight line speed and is applying that pressure to Simon Gates, but got to be careful not to allow Bailey Lawrence to find the way through. Not the best of runs there off that final right-hander for Jamie King, maybe missing a shift potentially on that run to the final corner. He's dropped back a couple of bike lengths off the rear end of Simon Gates for 4th position. Meanwhile, Chris Wells extending the gap by another half a second to Harrison Quincy. Ben Simpson, the top 3. Then this battle, Gates, King and Lawrence, 4th, 5th and 6th with 7 to go.
Yeah, now Chris Wells leads by 3 seconds. It's a hefty gap that he's been able to pull out on Harrison Quincy. See if this group that we were just watching in 4th, 5th and 6th being Gates, King and Lawrence, see if they try and catch Ben Simpson for 3rd, but it looks like they're too distracted with each other's battle at the moment. As they now make their way to the penultimate corner, the battle continues on. Jamie King doing everything he can to get into that top 4. And now we're getting a message in from race control. It might not be a 4th place if he's able to get through. It is a penalty of 5 seconds for the whole top 3. That is huge.
Now the question I have is that the top 3 as they run or the top 3 on the grid? Because of course Jamie King has dropped back a little bit, but the top 3 on the grid. So that's Chris Wells, Harrison Quincy and Jamie King all handed a 5-second time penalty, which is monumental. Now that adds a lot more stakes to this race, because with the penalty applied, Chris Wells drops to 3rd position currently, so he needs to bridge another about second and a half, 2 seconds to be safe from Ben Simpson in order to keep his win. He's 1.1 seconds net behind him as a rider going slowly, pulling over on the left-hand side of the circuit. Look over the shoulder from Lawrence, as there's an issue for the 8-12, a problem for that's going to be James Roberts, who's down and out now of this race. He's running last, 25th of 25. 5 laps left to go, but what it does mean is basically a race against time for Chris Wells. That last time through, the gap, well, now in front to Ben Simpson, 0.8 of a second. He's got to bridge that out as Jamie King looks down the inside, tries to find his way through on Simon Gates. He's going to be battling his way through. Of course, Quincy also has been given that 5-second time penalty, so we'll confirm the results when they cross the line. Right now, though, it's a race against time for Chris Wells to get, well, net in front of effectively the ghost of Ben Simpson.
Yeah, this is where it gets difficult from a commentator's perspective now to try and judge who is leading in terms of time. We can't go off the screen anymore because out in front currently in terms of on track is Chris Wells, but he's at the moment on timing 0.7 off Ben Simpson in the lead.
So with 4 laps left to go, there currently sits 0.3 seconds between Ben Simpson and Chris Wells, which means there's a 4.3 second gap between Wells and Simpson. He needs 0.7 pulled out in order to retain the lead with 3 laps left to go. But the perfect response from Simpson, staying within 0.5 second of Chris Wells. If he can keep that up, victory is as good as his. Jamie King negotiating some of the lap traffic. Lawrence chucking one to the inside as well in this 3-bike train for what has now become 3rd position. It's Gates from King, now from the 755 of Quincy, but Bailey Lawrence involved in that as well. So Quincy not out of the woods just yet either, needs to utilise some of that clear air to build a big enough of a gap to keep that podium.
Now 3 laps to go though. My question is, does Ben Simpson know that this is a situation? You doubt it, because he'd be hearing only bikes and not us at all. So he doesn't know that he's got that task on his hands of defending this net race lead from Chris Wells. So he might just, sit back a bit here and think, okay, I'll take a safe 3rd place rather than trying to push on to catch Harrison in second. So he'll come across the line, he'll see himself first, you wouldn't believe it. But look at the drama that's going on here as around the outside, once again at the last corner, comes Bailey Lawrence, and he really seems to like that move, doesn't he?
Flying with danger with the back markers there. 2 laps left to go. Very Schumacher-Hakkinen-esque, splitting the traffic. Chris Wells, though, back into the race lead. Again, it's a race against time. He's got a 5-second penalty, and he's been able to pull that gap out on pure pace. That clear air, not being bothered by any other battling. Chris Wells, despite the penalty, is proving that his pace is one to reckon with in 2026. A lap and a half left to go. Jamie King still trying to stay on tabs with Simon Gates in this battle for the podium, as well as Quincy trying to race against time. If these 3 battle, Quincy could yet keep the podium down the inside on Jamie King, trying it there, but not quite finding the space as they battle on to the final lap of the race. This is a bit further back, those 3 bikes fighting away. A bit further up, of course, you'll have the likes of King, Gates, Quincy, who are all now fighting. King goes through up in the 3rd position with half a lap left to go. Chris Wells just needs to bring it home, just needs to stay within outside of the 5-second range of Simpson to retain victory despite the penalty. And what a start it would be for the 2023 champion of Chris Wells, who has missed out on the championship for a number of reasons. As down there at the 2nd chicane goes the 333. A bit further back in the pack, that's Perry Thompson, who started this race P7 through the final couple of corners, though the checker flag will fly. Chris Wells will take victory just in the fight against time between Simpson, or even Simpson might well have taken it. What was the gap at the line between the pair of them? What a ride that could well have been there from Ben Simpson. In the end, less than 0.4 seconds between the 2 of them. Chris Wells keeps second from Jamie King, who's found his way onto the podium despite a penalty. Harrison Quincy from Simon Gates, the top 5. Bailey Lawrence, the top 6. So a little bit of confusion there. And of course, Ben Simpson has no idea he's won this race.
No, not just yet. He might be able to hear us just now. He's done a 44.5 in that race. So fastest lap of the race as well with the win. He won't believe that, and that is one difficulty. Come to line and you have to sort of judge who got that, and I thought he'd have a bit of a difficult time gaining that time back due to the back markers he had in front of him. Took a bit of a while to get through, but once he got through, he got going.
Yeah, what a ride. And again, he'll probably feel a little bit surprised, to be honest. I mean, you look at the riders in front, you look at them jumping the start, you probably get an idea in your head that maybe a penalty is coming their way. Nonetheless, in the race against time, Ben Simpson fends off Chris Wells, Jamie King, the top 3, with Harrison Quincy and Simon Gates, the top 5. Bailey Lawrence from Ferreira, Grimes, Humphreys and Cliff were your top 10 after, 12 very hard laps of racing. Of course, Chris Wells, rapid, narrowly missing out on victory, but, don't jump the start. Simple as that, really, isn't it?
The most disappointing thing for him, though, is that he's going to come in thinking he won that race.
Well, do you reckon he knows he jumped the start? You know when you've done something a little bit naughty, don't you?
Well, you'd be hopeful that nobody realised, but I think we all did. He's going to come in desperate to hear what happened. He doesn't know if he's won or not yet. And to be fair, though, I think just chilling out on that last lap, as I saw Ben Simpson being nearly a second quicker than him on that last lap. So Chris Wells might have just took a bit of a breather and thought, I might be able to get away with this, or got held up by some back markers, which ultimately cost him that on the last lap.
Mini GP 50 about to take to the circuit, and Emilio Pereira, after taking pole position in the 50R class, takes pole position once again in the 50s. He narrowly missed out on victory versus Jenson Brown earlier on in the day. He'll be looking to, well, get a bit of redemption in the 50 class alongside Kellen Ratcliffe on the front row. A similar pole margin for Emilio Pereira, just shy of 0.4 of a second from the 96. And do you reckon there are any lessons that Pereira can take from race one earlier on in the 50R class that he can now apply into the 50s?
Yeah, 100%. It was nothing too crazy that he lost out on. It was just a few things that he can easily learn once he gets out on track. Just a bit more track time might be able to toughen him up a little bit more and get him up to speed with what his plan is tomorrow. And that is exactly what he's doing here today. It is just to get more track time out there and learn.
On their way onto circuit, we'll run you through the 12-rider field for the Metrokit Mini GP 50 class. It's Emilio Pereira that will start this one on pole position. A star in qualifying is El Toro. Kellen Ratcliffe alongside him on row 1 with Preston Baker and Bo Morris, row 2. Tommy Williams starts this one 5th from Jensen Cedras in 6th. Josh Perkins alongside Danny Longhurst on row 4 with Reed Saxelby and Claudia Dublin rounding out the top 10. Is down there. That's Kellen Ratcliffe, who's had a slip on the formation lap, the 96 fluorescent yellow and black. Desperately trying to deadlift that machine up. It's not the heaviest thing in the world, but when you're barely a teenager, it probably is quite heavy. Trying desperately to get himself back into this race. Oliver Cheeseman and William Skingle wound out the 6th row of the field. And the struggles there for Kellen Ratcliffe, I mean, feeling quite defeated, I'd imagine, as he tries hard to muscle that bike up, but can't quite manage it, understandably. A small delay to the start of this 50 race.
He is going to be kicking himself for that one, as you can see. He's really disappointed, and what a shame, as I was just about to sing his praise for getting second on the grid there, but nonetheless it was a good qualifying for him, and hopefully if he is around tomorrow after this race, he might be within a good shout for it. And unfortunately feeling a bit dejected, I imagine, after that one. So just asking for some help to get the bike out of the way. And all this just adding more time for the other riders to get to the grid and sit there waiting. And that could prove very, very damaging to his season as he gets some help lifting the bike back up. Is he able to get back on it and restart? I'm pretty sure. It's not damaged in any way. It was a small slip off, and he gets rolling now. They may get another start depending on how long they're waiting for that. I'm not too sure.
They're discussing it definitely at race control whether they get another formation lap, but what's that going to do to his confidence now, right? He's still in the race and he's been given this second opportunity, right? But when you're on the front row, you cannot afford even the slightest lapse in judgment or slightest bit of doubt when you've got riders like Preston Baker, like Bo Morris, who are going to be chasing after you. And then when you want to take the battle to someone as aggressive as Emilio Pereira, I mean, Kellen Ratcliffe starting this one with some doubts in the back of his mind, he's really quickly got to reset his composure and get his head right back into the right space.
Yeah, he's starting second. I mean, you've got to go for it straight off, otherwise you're going to have a bunch of riders diving you straight away. Looks like he is going again from second, and I was talking earlier about the mentality when something like that happens, a delayed start, or worse case that you've crashed on the warm-up lap. But here we go then, he has to reset and chase down Pereira, otherwise he's getting chased down. We get away now, and away he gets really well, does Kellen Ratcliffe, but Pereira one better as he leads through the chicane. Behind him, the blue machine of Preston Baker we saw earlier, giving us some action. But away goes Pereira with a dominant lead so far. What a brilliant start. And Kellen Ratcliffe doing, as I said, a good job to stick in that top 3 for now. Going through the corner, he just crashed, just keeping a little bit careful through there, but he's going to start really pushing for it now and trying to bridge the gap and close it down to Preston ahead of him.
Emilio Pereira through the final corner for the opening time of 12 in the Metro Kit Mini GP 50 class. Preston Baker chasing after him, Caelan Ratcliffe keeping Beau Morris and Tommy Williams at bay. It's the fluorescent yellow versus the all white versus the all blue. Beau Morris gets the ride that he needs out of the chicane, but can't really do much with it. We've got 5 bikes here queued up as a dart to the inside from the 30. Josh Perkins perks his way through on the inside of Tommy Williams, up now into 5th position, eyeing up a move maybe on Beau Morris as he's got the momentum in his back pocket. Caelan Ratcliffe, of course, feeling maybe a little bit cautious on these opening few laps, dropping off the pace of the top two of Pereira and Baker. Ratcliffe fighting to stay on this podium.
Yeah, but not just that. I think Beau looking really strong here and trying to contend for this podium as he comes up the inside into the penultimate corner. A nicely done move. Are we going to see Ratcliffe trying to go inside? No, he doesn't lean as much into that corner as Morris does, just being a little bit more careful. As up the inside comes Tommy Williams, and it does seem to me like Ratcliffe is now fading through the field, understandably, probably just still a little bit frustrated there, and knowing that'll be knocking his confidence. It's a bit of a downward spiral from there. You know you're getting a bit in your own head about it, so you try to stop it by thinking more about not getting in your own head. And what more does that do than just ruin it more? And I think that's what's going on right now. I'm not exactly a mind reader, but I know a decent amount about how riders feel during a race. Caelan Ratcliffe now in 5th. So Pereira doing a really good job in the lead of 44.4. He's got as the fastest lap at the moment, and Preston Baker in 2nd place. But look at this, Emilio Pereira absolutely stretching out the gap with 8 laps to go in the Mini GP50 race.
Indeed so, he's establishing some good control, is El Toro, Emilio Pereira. Again, one of the more, confident, he's got some swagger about him as Pereira, and that's been the case since he was a rookie, and that's confidence that you can definitely see in his riding style, right? We saw it in the battle earlier on in the 50R class, where he isn't scared of just poking that nose, that front wheel down the inside. He rides really aggressively, rides with his heart on his sleeve, and even when he was a rookie, like I say, in that battle with Nelly Noof in the rookie championship, right, he gave it one go. He darted down the inside. It was all or nothing, really. The final corner at Ella Park, the penultimate corner technically at Ella Park, he chucked it down the inside, a potential championship winning move, and he came down as a result of it. And those are the risks that Emilio Pereira is willing to take in order to win. And now on these bigger, more geared machines, he's coming into that with that same confidence, with that same swagger, isn't scared of anyone or anything. And that's shining through. His raw pace, his raw talent, really excelling in the early phase of this season. Still a long way to go, of course. This is the first of 21 races that the riders will have as part of the main FAB-Racing season. So it is still a long way to go, don't get me wrong. But he's starting on the right foot.
100%. We saw it right there in the 70 race when he did the fastest lap on the very last lap while fighting for the victory with Jensen Knowles. And that just proves his confidence and brilliant mentality he brings to the floor, which is why we're seeing him so far out front, a 3.7 gap as he tries to go around the outside of a back marker. But Preston Baker doing well to hang on in 2nd, making up a gap now to Beau Morris in 3rd, who's closely tailed by Tommy Williams, as we now have a battle on for the final place on the podium between the white and blue machines.
It's the fight for what is 3rd position. Beau Morris not showing up on the timing screens currently. The 57, the all-white machine just in front of Tommy Williams as it stands, but they are battling for it, I promise you that. Across the line, the 51 looks to the inside. That's the right-hand side of the circuit. The left-hand side of your screen. 5 laps left to go in this battle. Saxby as well doing a pretty decent job running high up in this grid. But Tommy Williams, Beau Morris has been pretty quick, basically from the immediate get-goes. They both negotiate that bit of lap traffic as they, again, have to get a little bit more there. The 174, I think that's William Skingle they had to dart around the outside of, but yeah, Tommy Williams running very well just behind Beau Morris. Saxby, of course, second-generation racer. His father very accomplished in the world of motorcycle racing, and that's definitely, again, experience that's going to shine through out on circuit. And like with Harrison Day, Josh Day, of course, is his father. When you are that second-generation racer, things just, I don't want to say come to you a bit easier, but those experience-based learnings you can basically that experience be given to you, that knowledge be given to you, and that's something that really shines through. There's contact. Oh goodness me, huge off there. Bo Morris and Tommy Williams collecting each other through the second chicane. Oh my goodness me. Did not expect to see that in the slightest. I think just rear wheel to front wheel contact between the two of them, checking up on each other, hoping that both of them are okay, but throwing away a potential podium position for the pair of them. Bo Morris straight away to sit very defeated on the tyre wall. I did not see that one coming in the slightest.
No, I think Tommy just got it a little bit wrong on the brakes, got a little bit too ambitious to make it work. Very out of the blue, from the blue machine to go down the inside and sort of get it a bit wrong. A shame, and both of them going to be definitely very disappointed to miss out on that podium that they were so aggressively fighting for. And now that moves Caelan Ratcliffe up into the podium positions. If he ends it with a podium, I mean, he can't be too disappointed with that, considering what happened on the sighting lap. But yeah, Pereira keeping a strong lead of 4.5 over Preston Baker. Both him and Baker doing a really good job to stay consistent. They've basically been first and second all race, but some drama to add in there due to that collision between Morris and Tommy, as Pereira makes his way through on a back marker once again. 2 laps to go and Pereira is on a roll. As we were just talking earlier, his mentality is unbeatable. The confidence in his own riding, his skill is like no other. And that's exactly why we're seeing this gap at 4.6, the fastest lap of 44.2, which I believe was only on the second lap. So out the gates nice and fast for Pereira, and now he's all good to take a bit of a stroll on the last lap. Can't be too slow, because I imagine Baker will be asking for a bit more on this last lap.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the last couple of laps have been basically matched between the two of them. Preston Baker finding some stride. His fastest lap only 2.5 tenths off Emilio Pereira. The last time through, basically able to stay within a tenth or two of Emilio Pereira's lap times. It's just that ruthless consistency that Emilio Pereira has got that has elevated him to now nearly in excess of a 5-second gap over the rest of the field. He lost out in the Mini GP 50 R category versus Jensen Knowles, but he's fired back on this second opportunity in the 50s. His step up onto geared machinery through the final corner. The checker flag will fly, and it's Emilio Pereira's day in the sun here at Lydd. He takes victory in the Metricoat Mini GP 50 class from Preston Baker and Caelan Ratcliffe, who complete the podium. He looks over his shoulder. Where is everyone?
They're all still waiting to come to the line, at least in his perspective. What a brilliant ride from Emilio Pereira, and a strong second place for Preston Baker. A consistent ride from him, no mistakes from start to finish to take home second. That'll be confidence boosting for tomorrow, and Caelan Ratcliffe will be happy, must be happy with that third place after that difficult start before the lights went out.
Run through the full results in just a couple of moments time, but one thing is absolutely for certain: Emilio Pereira on top form, cold as you'd like. 5.9 seconds was the winning margin from Preston Baker and Caelan Ratcliffe, who's off on the formation lap, but didn't thwart him from podium success. Josh Perkins from Danny Longhurst, Claudia Dubman, Oliver Cheeseman, P7 from William Skingle, Saxby and Williams. The top 10, of course, Bo Morris going down with the 51, a couple of laps into that race. A very exciting opening 50 race of the season. Of course, they have 2 more tomorrow, and what can the rest of the field do to catch Pereira?
They've got to match that mentality, and it's sort of a long-term thing. It's not something that can happen in one night. They've got to be looking at the times and find out how he's so consistent and so confident like that. Coming up next then, Extreme 200 Junior, the mixed class of the senior as well. But before that, we'll just have a look at the dejected riders walking away from that unfortunate incident which ended their chances at the podium. And he is going to be very upset with himself for that one. It was ultimately just asked a little bit more on the brakes going up the inside. But there is always a chance tomorrow to come back and do the same again. Right then, it is time for the Extreme 200 mixed class, as I said earlier, junior and senior, and there's a few people who are set out to beat each other in this class.
Yeah, this is, again, an extreme class, as the name suggests. It's also where a lot of the junior riders sort of, use the opportunity for some extra attack time, extra race time as well against each other. We're just seeing there the aftermath of the brutal battle that ensued over the course of the 50 race. Bo Morris and Tommy Williams coming together into the second chicane. And, well, you can see definitely feeling very deflated, very defeated. Their only race today, they've got to bounce back for tomorrow. And you can see just there the consolation, the reset. Again, ultimately, these riders, for a lot of them, are children. And that mentality, that maturity is something it's forged in the fire of Fab Racing.
Yeah, 100%. You've got to learn to just sort of forget about it, especially if you've got a next race tomorrow. And Bo Morris definitely had the pace to finish on the podium, so needs to stay confident because he's more than got the potential to be fighting once again. And the good thing is, it'll be a 50-50 for Morris. Be sort of it wasn't my fault, but at the same time, it wasn't even my mistake. I did nothing wrong. Both can play on the mind. But anyway, we are now getting ready for the Extreme 200 Junior/Senior race. 12 laps. And of course, out there, the father and son, Zach and Dylan Taurine. We spoke to them yesterday, and they were very excited to be racing on the same field. Bit of a rivalry going on between them. A bet I remember hearing, Zach telling Dylan that he would give him $1,000 if he beat him, but I don't know if that will stick. But
they're sharing the same row on the grid. They're starting P9 and P10. Yeah, $1,000 of what is a very interesting question posed by Lester Forbes in our ear there. By the way, also talking about this is going to be close. Just to play on the whole father-son rivalry, a 43.061 for Dylan Taurine, a 43.089 for Zach Taurine. I mean, as a father and a son, there's not really much more you can ask. They're lining up on the 5th row of the grid, just in behind the likes of Daisy Pollard and Matthew Thomas, who share row 4. Frankie Watson, Tommy Keats on row 3. Bradley Curtis, Mason Fedrick, row 2. Finley Polehill, Sebastian Gazlowski sharing the front row of the grid. Now, Gazlowski missing out on victory versus Bradley Curtis in the 70s a couple of races ago. He'll be looking to bounce back and fire forwards from the front row of the grid. Bradley Curtis will be looking to go from 2 in terms of his races today. We've got 20 bikes lined up on the field. Jamie King making up the rear end of it. No shock to anyone there. The 76 alongside Harry James on the 10th row of the grid. 12 more laps of racing in Extreme 200. Now split, of course, into the juniors and the seniors. But Finley Polehill, Gazlowski, Curtis, Fedrick, Watson and Keats, the front 4 rows. It's eyes to the flag. We drop and we go racing. Bit of a wheelie pop there from Finley Polehill. He does not get the launch that he'd have wanted. Getting caught up there. Bradley Curtis slightly. So Sebastian Gazlowski will rocket through into the race lead once again. He gets the advantage into the second chicane. Following him through there as well will be the likes of Mason Fedrick, potentially Tommy Keats, who's got a good launch from the outside of the 3rd row of the grid. But Sebastian Gazlowski once more getting the launch that he needs, closely followed by Finley Polehill, who popped the wheelie off the line.
Yeah, Gazlowski's showing us once again his prowess off the line as he now leads this race. A brilliant start for him, and hopefully this time he won't let it go. As we now get ready for them to fly past on the curve cam. A brilliant shot as we see what it's like to be a blade of grass on the inside of the last corner at Lydd Circuit when Fab Racing's in town. And the Extreme 200 class makes his way into the chicane. And it looks like Gazlowski's got some company now in his class with Curtis behind.
Yeah, Finley Polehill, the 99 machine, keeping him company, of course. Finley Polehill, remarkable in the class that he's been racing in the last couple of years, back to 2024, racing Wilson Dilks, who went on a dominant run of form, took what was 6 victories in a row across Ella Park 2, 3 sisters. Down the inside, Finley Polehill finds the space on Sebastian Gazlowski. The 99 machine goes through. Also arriving on the scene is Bradley Curtis, so we've got 3 riders all in contention here. Finley Polehill once again proving his talent at the sharp end of the Extreme 200 field. He fires one through to take the lead of the race on the 3rd lap.
Yeah, fantastic manoeuvre. One we've seen very popular into that penultimate corner, and he made it work brilliantly. And now Gaslavski's got his old rival from the previous race, Curtis, to contend with for second place. Mason Frederick hanging on there in fourth place as well. But Curtis doing everything he can. He's going to see if he can dive up the inside. We've seen him very strong into that penultimate corner, but he's had a good few moments there, just asking a bit more of the front brake in this race and the previous race. But yeah, Super Seb now under pressure from Bradley Curtis. He knows, they both know how they like to battle after that previous one, and they are going to be biting at the heels to try and catch Pole Hill. But is it going to get personal when they want to beat each other?
They absolutely do. Maybe those tensions will boil over. All questions that will be answered over the course of the next 8.5 laps. With Finley Polehill in control at the front of the field, bridging out a couple of bike lengths relative to Sebastian Gaslavski. Bradley Curtis, remarkable on the brakes, but also trailing that braking into the corner, a long right-hander. Again, you almost V-line it. You go in quite hard, turning quite early, pitch the bike in, get the drive on the exit, so double apex it, trailing the bike in very, very nicely, braking late and long into the corner, and that's the advantage that allowed him to win earlier on in the Metrokit Mini GP 70s as he darts to the inside of the hairpin, has to sit the bike up slightly, the Super Seb Gaslavski. Bradley Curtis applying on that pressure down the inside once again. Gaslavski doesn't get a corner to breathe. Meanwhile, Finley Polehill bridging the gap up in front.
Yeah, Curtis finding every single opportunity he's got and trying to find where there is one possible. He thinks about it again. He always goes for that inside line to see if it's possible. Just a last minute moment, just in case Gaslavski runs wide. And we're going to take a quick look at the other class to see how that is going on.
Of course, you've got the likes of Zach Toreen as Bradley Curtis finds a way through on Sebastian Gaslavski into the hairpin at the top end of the circuit. The 71 now through on the 64, so a rivalry forming in 2026 between Bradley Curtis and Sebastian Gaslavski, the reigning 50 and 50-yard champion. Bradley Curtis rising to the occasion of the esteemed champion and firing one through to take second position. In terms of the seniors, of course, Zach Toreen in seventh position. As it stands, is Sebastian Gaslavski coming into the pit lane. Super Seb not happy. A podium position out of the question now, as Mason Frederick will inherit that place, and more frustration into the head of Sebastian Gaslavski.
Yeah, what a shame for Sebastian Gaslavski. Just got passed by Bradley Curtis and it all went wrong. I don't know what happened there, but he certainly looked very frustrated. And a quick word on the father-son duel between Zach and Dylan Toreen. Zach currently in 6th place, outdoing his son and doing everything he can to keep that $1,000 in his bank. As Pole Hill continues to lead from Curtis and Frederick in 3rd. Mason Frederick will be happy to pick up a podium. Of course, as I mentioned earlier on in the programme, won't be around tomorrow, so making the most of it today here at Lydd.
So Zach Toreen currently leading the way in the Extreme 200 senior category. His son Dylan in P9. Toreen, of course, the leader of the two, running in P7 in the overall classification, behind Frankie Watson in 5th. So in terms of that wager, Dylan might have to work a bit harder tomorrow to go and get that grand, presumably of Great British pounds, but he's probably hopeful in that sense for that one. There is Mason Frederick dancing on the limit there through the final corner. Finley Polehill with 4 laps left to go leads Bradley Curtis, who now with clear track in front of him has to try and push and get after the 99 machine. Polehill though looking to take the first bite of the cherry, take the first victory in the Extreme 200 class in 2026. And as we follow Bradley Curtis through the hairpin at the top end of the circuit, you can barely see Polehill as he's blitzing away up in front. That pace that he had, not the best of starts, but he's made up for it since.
Yeah, 100%. He's doing well now, and Pole Hill in the lead as we're now watching the number 99 come around the last corner with 3 laps to go. A dominant performance so far, went through on Gaslavski and never looked back, and probably doesn't know that Gaslavski isn't even in the race anymore, as he leads quite dominantly over Bradley Curtis in 2nd. He continues to push on that impressive pace. We've said it so many times today, how impressive it is to have such a pace at such a consistent rate. And he's showing us his mettle as he comes around the penultimate corner. 2 laps left for Finley Polehill. I'm just going to check on the gap, see how Mason Frederick is doing in 3rd place, if he's in a bit of trouble, as we wait for them to come to the line. Currently in 4th, Tommy Keats trying to chase down. It's a 4-second gap between him and Mason Frederick, so they would have to have a lot of drama as Sebastian Gaslavsky is back on circuit. Clearly found the root of his issue and decided to get back out there for a little bit more track time, as he's currently down at 18th, chasing down Jamie King.
Lap and a half left to go in this race. Finley Polehill head and shoulders above the rest is, well, Jamie King getting lapped there. Pit Bike Sonic. There's, well, experience versus youth. And Finley Polehill rockets through on the final lap of the race to take what would be a very dominant victory. The opening race of 21 in the Mastermac FAB-Racing Extreme 200 2026 season. Finley Polehill, after missing out 2 years ago to Wilson Dilks, will be looking to contend for the championship in 26. He's got an esteemed grid of riders to go up against. Curtis, Frederick, Frankie Watson, Sebastian Gaslavsky. It's not going to be easy in the slightest, but he has made it look easy here at Lydd. Lapping the final bit of traffic, the checker flag will fly, and Finley Polehill will take the first Extreme 200 victory in 2026 here at Lydd Kart Circuit. What a ride from the 99. Popped the wheelie at the start, dropped back slightly, but a stark ride since to claw his way back forward and win in, well, clear fashion from Bradley Curtis. Mason Frederick inherits the podium after Gaslavsky's issue. He came into the pit lane, got it sorted, back out again. He'll cross the line in P18. And after 12 laps of intense racing, I mean, Finley Polehill just made it look easy in Extreme 200s.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. From that point on, he passed Gaslavsky. And probably, as I said earlier, I didn't even know that he was in second until the mechanical issue occurred for Gaslavsky. He was able to rejoin the race down in 18th, but Curtis doing well in second. All right, then the top 10 from that one. Finley Polehill taking victory, a dominant one at that. 3.2 ahead of Bradley Curtis, taking a strong second, and Mason Frederick taking a podium 4. He's off to Spain tomorrow. And then we've got Keats, Watson, Taurine, the father, that being Zach, hanging on to his grand for another day, with Holden, Thomas, Taurine and Johnson rounding out the top 10. That is it for then Extreme 200, and on to the final race of the day. We're out for Moto team.
We are indeed. Of course, Extreme 200's living up to the name very, very much so. And very much looking forward to seeing how their season progresses. 2 more races for them tomorrow in the 3 races per round bout that we've got. 7 rounds in 2026, starting right here at Lydd. The stars of the future on the grids of today at FAB-Racing. That road to World Championship levels. Of course, an interview with Brad Ray coming out in the not too distant future. Keep an eye out, keen-eyed and loyal followers of FAB-Racing. Make sure you are following along on social media to listen to the BSB champ in Brad Ray, a FAB graduate as well, proving what can be done on this very grid.
Yeah, of course, and many like him doing the business and showing their mettle. Harrison Day being one who I've mentioned many times this stream, because it was also mighty impressive what he was doing in testing. But so many people that have come through FAB Racing have made it to the top of motorcycle racing, be it British Championship or even World Championship. And that is what the kids here are dreaming of doing. And if you want to get involved yourself as a rider, head to the FAB-Racing website. And if you're not too bothered, you're all good listening to our lovely voices and watching some amazing racing, go to the socials and make sure you click all the buttons, like, subscribe and follow. Keep your notifications on. As Zach said, some exciting stuff coming along the way in the next couple weeks. Exciting announcement, Brad Ray interview and some more racing in a month's time.
So when we take to Clay Pigeon for round number 2, staying in the south of England, just a little bit further to the west. There you can see Lee Clowes on the left, our flag marshals, award-winning UK motorsport marshal. She's been part of the FAB crew for quite some time, starting each and every single one of the races, bar a couple. Jamie King has stepped in on a couple of occasions, but of course a big thank you to all of the staff at FAB Racing for their efforts over the years, and again for providing this platform for the young and mature riders to showcase their talents on such a big stage. To all of the marshals, to the medical crew, and to the shout out to the camera operators out there as well for delivering the production, and Lester Forbes as well behind the scenes in the production. Again, showcasing and giving the spotlight to the riders here at FAB Racing. Pulling onto the grid there, you can see on the left a slightly altered grid for Moto Team. I believe typically it's based on qualifying for all 3 races. I wonder if Moto Team have voted to go for the results of race 1, because Ian Jackson from Team Acme 28 from 8, Team SFC will start 3rd from Ivano Di Francesco. Thomas Dudson, Ben O'Keefe, Phil Joyce and Adam Harris, the front 4 rows, as the 141 of Di Francesco, the all-white machine, pulls into 4th. Completing the top 10, Mario Jelly, Harrison O'Keefe, Paul Kelly, Robert Leveridge, the front 6 rows from Gary O'Keefe, Madison Martelou, the gold member bike in 15th from Spencer Collingwood, Peter Appleton, Phil Mappelbeck and Malcolm Stein rounding out in 19th after contact and being mounted earlier on in the day. Of course, Billy Matthews at the handlebars of the gold member number 3, one of maybe their first weekend in racing. Also, speaking of that arrive and ride format, spot is still open for round number 2. So if you want to give it a go, definitely inquire into doing that. One of the cheapest forms of motorsport in the UK. Quick word to the number 8 Team Acme bike, who will be looking to, well, get the move done around the outside in the opening of what will be 12 laps for Motor Team Standard and Open. One of each sharing the front row, but the overall race win is the one that they're all fighting for. Eyes to Lee Clowes, eyes to the flag. It goes up, it goes down, and we go racing. A great launch there from Ian Jackson as he'll lead in towards turn number 1 and 2. Of course, Team Acme as well there in 2nd position, that being Marco Pandolfo at the handlebars of that one. Just in behind that as well, settling in the 133 of Team SFC with Matt Lindley riding that one. So far so good though for Ian Jackson, the reigning Motor Team Standard champion.
Yeah, good start, just got it nice and simple. Wasn't too fantastic, wasn't too show-offy. He's just done a good job and got away well, and he's got himself a strong lead over Team Acme, who are now trying to get back on his heels and get involved. As they head through the penultimate corner, we're actually going to get race control information here. Someone may have jumped the start. Yeah, somebody's start is under investigation as Team SFC tries to get onto the back of the green machine belonging to Team Acme Racing and try and claim that 2nd place. It was pretty much this top 3 for the race earlier on, and they were all locked in combat, heavily influenced by lapped riders. Let's see if back markers can make a difference. There's somebody else down there, one of the O'Keefes, unfortunately hitting some difficulty on lap 1, but still it is Ian Jackson from Team Acme and Team SFC in the top 3. SFC all over the back of Team Acme around the penultimate corner and out of the final corner. Again, a good run there. They need to work together realistically if they both want to win this race. It's a 12 lapper with 10 of them to go.
Ian Jackson in control at the front of the field, and the top 3 as they were in race 1 earlier. Of course, revised format for Moto Team this year, 4 races over the weekend, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. It just means they have an even number of races for those who want to share the bike. So again, it's not the rider that scores points. I mean, obviously physically they do, they're the one that rides the bike across the line and gets the results, but the points go towards the number on the bike itself, not necessarily who's riding it. So again, adding to that budget-friendly format of Moto Team, you can, split the cost with a mate. You can do 2 races each. You can do 1 each on Saturday, 1 each on Sunday, or split it up however you like. 2 qualifying sessions to go with it as well. So it just adds to making it more accessible. And this is one of the biggest Moto Team grids that I've seen in quite some time. We had 19 starters to this race, all the way back to Malcolm Stein in 19th position. And the racing that we're getting, even if it is budget-friendly, I mean, it takes nothing away from the quality that we have at the front end of the field. Of course, Ian Jackson now fending off Marco Pandolfo, the Team Acme number 8, the metallic green machine, trying to set up that move on the run towards the final corner.
He's all over the back of him now. He's had a strong start to the race, just a bit cool, and has now got into the rhythm, and he's now looking to get through. So we're now getting a race control message, a decision on what happened there at the start, and a 3-second jump start penalty for the number 22.
Thomas Dudson, the one receiving the penalty, started this one the inside of the 3rd row of the grid. So 5 seconds going the way of them. So nice to see race control on it in terms of the jump starts. We also had some iffy starts in the pit bikes earlier on today, and they were aptly on that in order to dish out the relevant penalties, and nothing gets missed by race control. You can bet your bottom dollar that is going to be true. 7 laps left to go, so approaching half distance. You can bet your... Getting our way closer to half distance in this race, you can bet your bottom dollar that we're going to see some good racing at the sharp end of the field as well. Ian Jackson leading Team Acme Racing, leading SFC. The top 3 as you see them on your screen. It's the 28 from the 8 from the 133 as we tick our way on to, 6 laps completed and 6 laps left to go.
Yeah, and now it's all a 3-way battle as somebody's gone down there, and it looks like they might not be able to get back on for the moment. But that top 3 locked together as they just can't make any moves for now in that yellow flag area. And now it's all free rein once the rider gets back on his bike. Now, can Acme make his way through? Now this was interesting in the previous race. A lot of back markers making the big decisions, really. Well, not purposefully, but almost deciding the race in the way the final lap panned out. And that may come into play here as Team Acme tries to go up the inside of Alan Jackson. Can't quite find the move. Team SFC, once again, like they were in race 1, in third, just trying to find that little way through, find a little gap that Team Acme may open by going for the move on Alan Jackson. So pretty much a similar format as he now looks to dart up the inside. The green motorcycle goes through into the lead. Number 8, Plated Machine, now leads this race, and it was a nice move into the hairpin. And as I said before, now Team SFC can look at that and try and copy-paste.
Very much so. Of course, Acme in the open class, whereas Ian Jackson in the standard class. So they are both respective race leaders. They will still be taking the 25 points for a race victory. But ultimately, they're so far in front. They're contesting for overall position as much as they are class position. And ultimately, you've got a bike in front of you. You're going to want to go and catch and pass it regardless of whether or not it's in your class. So nice to see clean, respectful racing as the back markers also having their wits about them and being quite aware. But a nice move there from Pandolfo, riding the number 8 Team Acme, of course, leading the way in Motor Team Open, followed by Ian Jackson, second overall, leading in standard. SFC, though, in the standard class, chasing after them. So there is a battle potentially for the standard lead here between the reigning champion of Ian Jackson and SFC, the contender.
He's doing well to keep with this team of top 3 riders, but at the moment, just some more back markers pulling to the side and letting this top 3 through as we now go with 3 laps left of this final race of the day. And hopefully we get delivered some action for this battle for second between SFC and Alan Jackson. And we should see some big moves, and this is why they call it Fab Racing, because it truly is some fab action that you're watching today at Lydd Kart Circuit. And just perfectly timed, through goes SFC into second place. And some more riders getting in the way of the battle at the moment as SFC goes around the outside and Alan Jackson to the inside. And that left them as they were. Can Alan Jackson get through? SFC currently in the lead. But look at this, though. Acme getting away with this one, leaving them for dead with 2 laps to go. Oh, that got tight between SFC and some back markers. Alan Jackson had to run all the way onto the grass there. Wow, that was a bit sketchy for him, but he's held on to it. Yeah, Ian Jackson now continuing to chase down SFC. He's got 2 laps to do it, 1.5 more like. And he's got to keep motivated and stay on the heels as here's Acme going around some more back markers, looking absolutely unbeatable at this point in time. Just has to stay on it for 1 last lap. Around the final 2 corners, they look pretty unbeatable for now, but anything could go wrong. The green motorcycle makes its way into the first chicane and gets its way through on some more back markers, but we want to look at that battle for a second, which seems to have settled down a little bit between Ian Jackson and SFC. Looks like SFC's pulled out a little bit more of a gap than on that last lap, lapping slower than Acme by half a second, so it doesn't look like they're as close for victory. But yeah, Team Acme, despite taking home, I think it was second place in race 1 earlier, he takes the spoils if he can just get around these last 2 corners. The final race of the day goes to Acme Racing. They go across the line. It is a brilliant victory for them. A fantastically planned out race. Stuck
Fabulous,
in that podium battle, and now takes victory.
Fabulous indeed. As you aptly put it, did not take you long at all to get into the cliche phrase of Fab Racing. Acme Racing, though, brilliant stuff. You are only 16, but you are pulling out the dad jokes already. I love it. It's great to see. Team Acme Racing, though, like we say, a brilliant victory from them, and having an answer to Ian Jackson, who was formidable earlier on in the day. Also SFC taking that victory in Class A. Yeah, a rivalry brewing in Moto Team, which, yeah, a breath of fresh air, I think, for them in 2026. A lot of new riders, new faces, and new rivalries as well, sparking up the opening day, of course, of the last race of 11 done and dusted for day 1 of the 7-round season, of course. Tomorrow we'll have 2 races of each of our classes, but look at that, a very joyful Team Acme Racing rider of Marco Pandolfo. SFC from Ian Jackson, the top 3, of course, 2nd and 3rd overall, but 1st and 2nd in the standard class. Di Francesco, Dudson from in P5, O'Keefe in 6th. Then comes Joyce. Then comes Gelly and Kelly in 8th and 9th position as well, just in behind that. 1.2 seconds winning margin for Acme, but they had to, they had their work cut out from them in the opening phase. Jackson just, put up a very big barrier that the number 8 struggled to get through for quite some time. Yeah, definitely. And again, I think the back markers making the difference in that battle, sort of separating SFC and Ian Jackson, and I imagine Ian Jackson just decided to step back a little bit and thought it's not worth fighting for in these last few stages. It's a bit of an unclosable gap at this point, which can be closed in tomorrow's racing. Very much so. Well, absolutely looking forward to what we've got in store for tomorrow. We've had 1 run through, 2 in the form of Moto Team of each of our classes, setting the stage for races 2 and 3 tomorrow. The opening round of 7 in the 2026 Mastermac FAB-Racing British Minibike Championship, the first of which starts right here in Kent, here at the Lydd Kart Circuit, before we battle our way through the likes of Clay Pigeon, Houghton Park, Ella Park Raceway, Rowra, Three Sisters and Clandale, the 7th and final round of the main FAB-Racing British Championship season. Myself, Zach Sweeney, Riley Davis in the commentary box, talking you through the action. And, your first day in the FAB-Racing paddock, how's it been? It's been enjoyable. I've interviewed some confident people, and a good chunk of them actually have delivered pretty well. So looks like I've got a bit of a magic touch. Something like that. You keep telling yourself that, don't worry. What was maybe what's your magic prediction for tomorrow then? What are you going to sprinkle some fairy dust and give us for the races 2 and 3 tomorrow? Well, from my expert opinion, I can definitely tell that there'll be motorcycles on circuit. No way. Some brilliant racing at that. Today was an absolute barnstormer. We got some really good shows, and one thing I'm excited to see tomorrow is the ever-developing rivalry between Bradley Curtis and Sebastian Gazlowski. Yeah, that's right. There you go. There's your expert opinion on that one. Gazlowski and Curtis, 2 brilliant riders today. They have been phenomenal. And Gazlowski, talking on that, Curtis is going to be filled with a lot of endorphins, a lot of emotions, a lot of adrenaline, and very positive going into tomorrow. The complete flip side of that for Gazlowski, though, one of them is going to ride that momentum. The other one needs to come in with a completely fresh mind and reset. Yeah, definitely. But that will motivate him to absolutely go for it tomorrow. Tomorrow it's win it or bin it, almost. But you've got to be careful, because there's still a championship on the line. This isn't a one-off race. And yesterday, we spoke to a few people who are confident to keep the ball rolling throughout the season. Indeed so. Lydd Kart Circuit definitely delivering. We spoke to a couple of riders, and they were like, yeah, it's a bit difficult to overtake around here. You wouldn't have known. Out on circuit, they delivered in abundance. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your company over the last few hours here on the FAB-Racing YouTube channel. Of course, make sure you stick around. Make sure you come back tomorrow morning for 22 races, 2 cycles through each of our categories. The stars of the future on the grids of today here at the Mastermac FAB-Racing British Championship. It's been myself, Zach Sweeney, Riley Davis in the commentary box. We'll be back tomorrow morning to talk you through all of the racing action. We'll see you tomorrow.
On on the road to MotoGP.
1, 2, 3.
FAB-Racing Mini Bikes British Championship.